I'm Doug Brown in Canton, Ohio tonight. The traditional kickoff to the NFL preseason, the Hall of Fame game. It's the Browns and the Jets. ESPN's Damian Woody says Cleveland's Deshaun Watson was a top 5 quarterback in the league before his off-the-field issues.
I think it's imperative for him to kind of bounce back. I don't know if he's going to be top 5, but he needs to be like a top quarterback. Dude, you're getting paid $230 million guaranteed. Like, I need some return on that.
Damian Woody, the sale of the Charlotte Hornets is now official. A group led by Rick Schnall and Gabe Plotkin now holds the majority stake in the team. After 13 years as majority owner, Michael Jordan will now have a minority interest. One of the agencies investigating alleged sports wagering violations by athletes at Iowa and Iowa State announces there's no evidence that the outcome of games was affected. 7 former Hawkeye and Cyclone athletes were criminally charged this week.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. Fortunately, Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. It's a good thing, too, because having a home is hard work. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. Geico.com. Easy.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
You so. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Saints had the day off, but one of their linebackers is done for the year after an injury. We'll get to that. Gordon McKernan in studio next hour. Chris Doering here in hour number 3. We got a ton to get to. Thursday was the day. Your Fighting Tigers of LSU hit the practice field for the opening day of fall camp. Kind of give you a little bit of a camp report as we start here, but let us begin as we do every single day on AFR.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
All right, let me begin with how the day was kind of structured for LSU. Media was allowed into the indoor facility at 9:30 a.m. Brian Kelly was scheduled to meet with reporters after practice at 11:15. So it was going to be part indoor, part outdoor, and then media availability with Brian Kelly. They went long. We ended up getting to see about 2 hours worth of practice before Brian Kelly met with reporters closer to noon. The first half hour or so was indoors. The rest was outdoors. So we got to see a lot. They let us video the first 15 minutes. So the pictures and videos that you're seeing are from the indoor facility. And it's largely, they weren't doing really team periods during those times where we got to film. But then the rest of the day, outside, of course, we could watch, but no cameras. I'll kind of run through as best I can what stood out to me day one and maybe some of the questions that you all may have. And if you do have questions or players that you're interested in, drop me a comment. I'll tell you what I saw based on what our availability was. When we went to the indoor, the offense was working on the red zone against air, and defense was all working on pursuit drills. It was a lot of probably just a lot of getting their feet moving and whatnot. The first team offense is exactly what you thought it was going to be. The only questions we really had was, okay, no Bradford, Anthony Bradford, so who would start at right guard? That was Miles Frazier. Garrett Dellinger was the left guard. We know Charles Turner was the center, and your tackles were Campbell and Jones. Of course, Jane Daniels was your quarterback, and your receivers were 8, 2, and then they split with 11 and 17. So, of course, that would be Kyron Lacey, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, and Chris Hilton, who seems to be stepping up a good bit as well. Running back was really interesting because there was no definitive order with respect to the running backs at all today. When we saw the first drill that they were doing, it was just running drills. It was Armani Goodwin and Josh Williams running in tandem with the ones. Then it was Logan Diggs, Trey Bradford next. Then it was Noah Cain and Trey Holly. And then when they'd go to a different period, you'd see Noah Cain running with the ones. And then when they went outside and we got to see the team offense, it was Josh Williams running with the ones. I guess my point is they very clearly, Brian Kelly even said it after practice when he was talking about the running backs. Do you have him, the soundbite of Brian Kelly talking about the running backs today? Because he said, in essence, I'm looking for it on the sheet here, Muse. Just tell me if you have it. Okay. I'll paraphrase. Brian Kelly essentially said this is the deepest running back room he's ever seen in his career, which is a big old mouthful because that dude's coached for 3 decades, parts of 4 decades, and they do have 8 running backs. I mean, they have 8 running backs that they're rotating pretty interchangeably, and that was without John Emery today. Now, John Emery was not there. I know everyone's always going to ask the question about John Emery. Apparently, John Emery had an internship today, and he will be at practice tomorrow. So you go out there, all the offseason talk about John Emery. He's not there, so then everyone's like, where's John Emery? Internship. He'll be on the practice field tomorrow, so we'll be able to let you know where he kind of works in. The second team offensive line was something that I was going to be interested in. So I'll run through this, and I'm going to have to pull up the roster because it's I write when you're going very quickly. As they're rotating very quickly, you're generally jotting down numbers, and then I'll go back and sort of fill in the gaps later. But from left to right, Kimo Makanaeoli was the second team left tackle. It was Mason Lunsford, the Maryland transfer, as the second team left guard. 77, who Marlon Martinez, who we got to see play a lot late in the season, was your second team center. Bo Bordelon was your second team right guard, and then Lance Hurd, the true freshman, was your second team right tackle running behind Emory Jones. So that was your second offensive line. I would say one more thing about how they lined up with the first team defense, and then I'll rotate to some of my big takeaways from the day, because there was one gigantic, you could know nothing about football and have noticed this today takeaway, which I'll get to in a second. Defensively, when they went to the first team defense, I was very curious how they were going to line up. And this is how they did. Again, and this is just day one jumping off point, okay? Your interior line were Mason Smith and Jacobian Guillory. Your jack was Ovie Ogofu from Texas. And then Savion Jones was your big end. No surprise, your linebackers were your inside backers were Omar Spates and Harold Perkins. The real question then was going to become who were going to be running. What was your secondary going to look like? Because we knew that coming into this season, the biggest question defensively was the secondary, because you're replacing everybody. You're replacing all of your corners. You're losing Joe Fouché at safety. You're just turning over a ton of personnel. So here's how they lined it up. It was Zy Alexander at the left corner. That's the Southeastern transfer. And it was Deuce Chestnut at the right corner. That's the Syracuse transfer. Greg Brooks was running at the nickel. Your safeties were Major Burns, which that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, and Andre Sam. Now, I think Andre Sam is critical to this defense, and here's why. The best spot for Greg Brooks on the defense is in that nickel spot. if you can't find another safety other than Major Burns, then Greg Brooks has to go back and play safety. He's got to go play deep middle. And then that means Sage Ryan or maybe Javian Toviano or somebody else steps up and plays that nickel role. And a year ago, when Greg Brooks went out of the nickel role and Sage Ryan went in, there was a noticeable drop-off. Greg Brooks' best position is that box nickel safety. So if you can keep Greg Brooks in that nickel role, great. But to do that, somebody else has to step up at safety. Today, it was Andre Sam. For some context, Andre Sam is in his 7th year of college football. Okay? Andre Sam signed with McNeese the same year Miles Brennan signed with LSU. 2017, Ed Ogeron's first year, Matt Cannon, all that stuff. That's when Andre Sam started playing college football. So it's a guy that started at McNeese, was 2-time All-Southland Conference. Last year as a super senior went and played at Marshall. But remember, not only did they have the COVID year, but they didn't have a 2020 season. They played the spring 21 season. So he basically got 2 extra years, and he redshirted in 2017 as a true freshman. So he can basically have a 7th year this year. This is a guy that is 6 foot, 190 pounds, but most importantly, he has played a ton of football. I mean, all the jokes. Is he collecting Social Security or his grandkids in school? Like all that sort of stuff. He's old. 7th year. If he can emerge, he's wearing 19, by the way. If he can emerge as a starting safety, that would be massive for this defense. But that's how the first team defense lined up when we got to see it. Outdoors, they did run some full offense. Your tight ends, Mason Taylor was first. Jackson McGowan was second. Kamorian Pimpton was third. And Mac Markway is a full-on grown man. That's the tight end out of St. Louis. He is physical and thick and put together and looks the part. And Brian Kelly, think about every one of the big traditional tight ends that Brian Kelly's ever coached. That's Mac Markway. They got him listed at 6'4", 250 as a freshman, and he looks every bit of it. He is just a thick dude. Kamarian Pimpton, everyone's going to talk about him. Long arms, gigantic catch radius. He's a really impressive athlete. But Jackson McGowan was the guy taking the first reps as a pass catcher in the as they were running through 7-on-7s. Mason Taylor was your first tight end. The second tight end that they ran in 7-on-7s was 83, which is Jackson McGowan. So maybe it was just that he got the first reps today. We'll see how that continues going on. But McGowan was really impressive. I told you that there was one big, gigantic takeaway at practice today. Maybe I'm burying the lead, so forgive me for that. But there was one big, enormous thing that you could know nothing about football, have gone into the indoor this morning, gone up to the catwalk where they shuffled all of the media and watched and said, oh, man, that's incredible. What's going on there? And it was when they were running one-on-ones with the receivers and cornerbacks. So the way they would set it up is the quarterback's in the middle of the field. You'd have a receiver to either side, left or right. And it was just a one-on-one. It's receiver against DB. Y'all, LSU's wide receivers embarrassed the secondary today. I don't want to overreact to it. It was day one. It was day one of the first practice. They weren't even in pads. I get it. But y'all, I'm not just talking about Malik Neighbors and Kyron Lacey and Brian Thomas were winning routes. Shelton Sampson ran a go route and dusted Denver Harris by 5 yards. Now, the ball was underthrown, and Harris did a nice job recovering to contest it going to the ground. But it was so bad, the defensive backs no longer could play press man. They had to get off ball, and they were still getting beaten every single rep. You want one storyline to watch the remainder of camp on a team that has very few questions. We wondered a lot coming into this fall camp about LSU's secondary because they replace everybody. It's a whole bunch of transfers. Who's going to win the jobs? What's the rotation going to look like? Who's going to emerge? All that's fair. And after what we saw today, that question is completely justified. Now, you get into a game setting, you're going to have pass rush, which alleviates your secondary. Guys are going to get better. They're going to communicate better. But just, I mean, y'all, like when you're watching Kai Prion, a true freshman, dusting Major Burns, it's like, what can any of these guys cover? It was stunning to watch. And it was not just a one-off of your best players. It was every pass catcher against every defensive back in that drill today. Quarterbacks look good. Nuss outside was a little bit inconsistent. He made a couple of beautiful passes. One over the middle to Aaron Anderson that he dropped on a slant over the middle, which was a gorgeous ball. And then he threw one on the sideline that Kyron Lacey made a jumping catch, which was absolutely magnificent. And then he missed Mason Taylor over the middle. Taylor had to make a diving catch, which he had tipped to Mason Taylor, but the throw was terrible. And Nuss missed an out route. He threw it into his teammates on the sideline. That was in 7-on-7. So, look, it's what you expect with Garrett. He's going to wow you. The arm is there. At times, the accuracy, the release is magnificent. And then there's times where you're like, Daniels is Daniels, just steady and consistent. Ricky Collins, I thought, had some nice plays as well. Other takeaways, Nussmeier did have a sleeve on his left leg as well. I don't know what's up with that. But overall, it was a good first day, man. You're healthy, you're whole, you're talented, you're deep. And it's just a launching point for the rest of fall camp as we head toward September the 4th in the opener against Florida State. You got a month to figure out all of your minor issues. But that was a day one camp report out at LSU. All right, it's after further review. Our Thursday shows are brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com, theantiagingclinics.com. Let me knock out a quick break, y'all. Again, if there's a player, a coach, a situation, something that I didn't touch on that you're interested in, shoot me a note. You can text the show, 225-396-4400, 396-4400. I got tons of slots here in the rundown today to work in a lot of what Brian Kelly had to say and a lot of your questions and fall camp convo after day one of practice. We will be back out there again tomorrow with more media access, so we'll be there and get your full camp report tomorrow as well. All right, stay with us here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan, injury attorneys. Gordon's actually going to be in studio in hour number 2 today. I'm looking forward to that. We'll talk about what he's got up his sleeve for NIL coming up here in this coming 2023 football season. And also, Gordon's going to make a presentation to your boy. Might be something that I wear on my feet. I'm looking forward to it. But you know what to do. Get Gordon and get it done. You go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com, or any of Gordon's social media channels. You go at Get Gordon. Remember, Gordon's got the Design the Billboard contest going on right now. You can go to getgordonbillboards.com. That's getgordonbillboards.com. If you want to design the next Gordon McKernan injury attorney billboards, you can do it. The contest is going on right now. You want all the deets, you can get it on their social media. Just go to any of the social media platforms at Get Gordon. That's at Get Gordon. You can design Gordon's next billboard and win prizes up to $2,000. Remember, if you've been injured and it's not your fault, go to getgordon.com. Get Gordon and get it done.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
Saints had the day off on Thursday. They'll be back on the practice field on Friday. But when the Saints hit the practice field again, they will be without Andrew Dowell. If you missed it, the Saints placed Andrew Dowell on IR. That ends his season. So before it even begins, one of the linebackers that the Saints were counting on to take a giant step here won't even have the opportunity to get to the first preseason game. So placed on IR. Cat Terrell and others, everyone had it last night, and that is just a really gigantic blow. It's a knee injury. Dennis Allen said after practice he didn't think it was going to be a huge issue, but apparently it was. And there are times, I'm not saying that this is what every team does or is common, but there are times where if you're trying to stash a player, you can put them on IR in hopes of just letting them grow and develop for another year and not taking up a roster spot. This is not the case with Andrew Dowell. Dowell's a guy that has been a reliable special teams player and a backup at a position where you are now paper thin. We came into this season talking about linebacker because you've got Demario Davis, Pete Werner, who in 2 years has not played a full season, and then nothing. Nothing but guys that have been backups and special teamers and part-time players. I mean, if you look at your linebackers from a year ago, Demario Davis led the team in tackles with 109. Tyrann Mathieu was second, then Pete Werner was third with 80 tackles. So 2 of your top 3 tacklers were your starting inside backers. It's what you would expect. Next was Caden Ellis, 2 tackles behind Pete Werner with 78. It's a really good player. Well, Caden Ellis is in Atlanta now. You let him walk in free agency. After that, you got to go all the way down to Zach Bond, who had 16 tackles a year ago. After Zach Bond, Chase Hansen had 9, and Andrew Dowell, who you just lost for the year, had 7. My point is, you ain't got nothing at linebacker behind your top 2 guys. Nothing. Look, could Nephi Sewell step up and become a really good player? Sure, he could. Could DeMarco Jackson, who's one of those guys that got it, air quotes, redshirt year a season ago as a rookie, could he in year 2 step up and be a really good player? Could he? Yeah, he could. Could Zach Bond finally realize the potential that made him a third-round pick out of Wisconsin? No, I'm not going to go there. He's just not a fit for this defense. So what are you left with? You're left with, you better go sign a linebacker. Now, maybe it's a thing where, if you were here earlier this week, this is before the Dowell injury. I made a hard push to say the Saints need to go sign Zach Cunningham. Cunningham had an amazing start to his career with Houston. Houston was a dumpster fire as they were tanking there. Zach Cunningham ended up getting suspended and then cut. He finished last season in Tennessee with the Titans, and he's a free agent right now. He's 28 years old. He was the NFL tackles leader in 2019. That's a dude at 28 that can still play, put him in a good culture locker room with good veteran players like DeMario Davis, Cameron Jordan, Derek Carr, and I feel like he'd assimilate really well. That's a guy that is sitting there unsigned. Go sign him to an approachable deal. I mean, Miles Jack's 27 years old. He's still unsigned. I mean, Kyle Van Noy's a bit older. He's 32 years old, but it's another inside linebacker that's still available. You got to go sign somebody. You have got to add somebody. I mean, your options are you go sign someone who's available right now. You wait until roster cuts to see if you can find someone off the scrap heap that you could pick up that you have a good report on, or you make a trade. Are you going to trade draft assets or something like that for a linebacker who can come in and give you some depth? But whatever you do, you cannot, if you're the New Orleans Saints, you cannot proceed into this season with your linebacker room as is. You have got to add somebody at that position. I'm not going to pretend to know what Mickey Loomis is thinking right now and Dennis Allen are thinking. But I mean, what I mean is, I don't know where they're going to go. Are they going to call Zach Cunningham? I don't know. Why not? They're really good players. Of the available free agent linebackers, he's the best one. Call that dude. What would it take to get him in here on a one-year deal? One-year prove-it deal. If no one else is calling. What kind of deal could you do if you're trading for a player? I don't know. Leave that to Mickey Loomis. But one thing is absolutely for certain. This isn't even you know how you say there are musts, there are needs, and there are wants? Well, this isn't a want or a need. This is a must. You don't have the option of going through the rest of this camp and preseason without adding a linebacker before the year. You've got to add a linebacker. I would have said, hey, look, a lot of you asked about Quan Alexander. Quan is now signed with Pittsburgh. And I get why. He had been with the Saints, and he and DeMario Davis are really good in tandem. But the Saints made up their mind on Quan Alexander. They signed him to a contract extension. After he ruptured his Achilles, they traded for him. He tore his Achilles on Christmas Day against Minnesota. An incredible job rehabbing, re-signed him back for the start of next year. Elbow injury, misses the bulk of the season. They're like, we're done. They're done with him. That's fine. The LSU Tiger, the former LSU linebacker I would have wanted him to sign is Deion Jones. Well, now he's in Carolina. So you missed out on that one this week. I don't know who it's going to be, but they got to go get a linebacker. I'll be fascinated to see who they add, but they're going to add somebody. Andrew Dowell on IR. His season's over. We've talked plenty also about the interior offensive line. I mean, the Saints got a conveyor belt going into their facility right there on Airline Drive. They added another one on Wednesday night. Chuck Filiaga, who started his career at Michigan, played in 39 games. As a graduate, transferred to Minnesota. So he played the 2022 season with the Gophers and started all 13 games at right guard. So he's a guy that can play left guard and right guards, played both left guard and right guard. Went undrafted, was picked up by the Packers. The Packers cut him, and now the Saints picked him up off the waiver wire. 6'6", 321, again, a rookie. I'm not sitting there telling you this guy's going to make the team, but you need bodies there on the interior. I mean, you've already gone through this camp. In your 7 practices into camp, Trey Turner's lost for the year. Andrus Peat has a quad strain. Calvin Throckmorton has an elbow injury. And we saw Trevor Penning miss a day because of a foot injury. Those are all interior. Well, I guess Penning is trying to win the left tackle job, but can play on the interior. I mean, that's Turner, Peat, Throckmorton, 3 of your interior linemen have all suffered injuries so far in the first week of camp. That's not even counting Trevor Penning, who missed a day with the foot injury. So that's 4 offensive linemen that have suffered injuries. One of your interior players, Trey Turner's lost for the year. So, yeah, I mean, they just have it's like a production facility. They turn the conveyor belt on. They're just spitting out used, washed up, or newbie offensive linemen to see who can give them camp body reps and who can maybe give them some depth, hoping eventually you hit on one. Maybe it's Chuck Filiaga. Not holding my breath, but that's the newest name that the Saints have signed. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad you're with us here on a Thursday edition of AFR. We're always brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center. Call 924-2020, 924-2020, or williamsoneye.com. Hey, I want to remind you, of course, back to school is coming up. Parents, make sure you get the kiddos into the Williamson Eye Center. 7 locations across the greater Baton Rouge area. Newest location, the River Parish, is down there in Lutcher. Before school starts, make sure that your son or daughter has their annual eye exam. You don't want them squinting at the whiteboard in class. Make sure they can see. It'll help them through all their studies. Something I went through as an elementary school student, had to wear glasses, then ultimately contacts. And remember, right now at the Williamson Eye Center, they got a BOGO going on before school. Buy one, get one 50% off on glasses and contact lenses. So check them out at williamsoneye.com or schedule that consultation. 924-2020, williamsoneye.com. That's williamsoneye.com. Okay, y'all, it is After Further Review. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. Some big recruiting news for LSU. We'll get to that in about 15 minutes. 2 of their biggest remaining targets have announced their commitment dates, and why this might actually be really good news for Brian Kelly and the Tigers. We'll get to that. And in 30 minutes from right now, today could be the day that we look back on in the history of college football and say this was the day that the plug was pulled on the Pac-12, leading us to the inevitable. We'll get to that as well in 30 minutes from right now. Glad you're here. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Do business with someone you know. That's us, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Hey, I want to remind you, when you call Hudco, and there was just terrible weather earlier this week. We know there were down trees and there was large hail all over South Louisiana. If you had or think you might have had roof damage, give us a call. I mean, everywhere from the Preserve at Harveston and River Bend and Zachary and down into the River Parishes, all over Greater Baton Rouge, Oak Hills. We've gotten calls from all those different neighborhoods. So if your neighbor had wind and hail, chances are you did as well. If your neighbors had a roof inspection, you should as well. If your neighbor's getting a roof replacement, you're probably in need as well. Call us at Hudco Roofing. We'd love to give you that free, no-obligation roofing inspection. 364-1007. That's in the 225. 364-1007. 364-1007. Or go to the website. At the top of the page, you'll see the area codes for every area code in Louisiana. Do business with someone you know. Hudco Roofing and HudcoRoofing.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,500 off MSRP on all new 23 Ram 1500 Laramie trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HudcoRoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, Hudco can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call Hudco Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door.
that's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
It's been a hot minute since we've heard anything from Johnny Manziel. It's probably a good thing, actually, considering the path Johnny Football went down after his football career ended. But Johnny Manziel did put on his Instagram that coming soon, Johnny Manziel's Money Bar. So it's a picture of Johnny Manziel in his A&M uniform doing his infamous money sign. The logo is actually pretty cool. The money sign in the logo is the number 2. Instead of like the S for the money sign, it's the number 2 with the line through it, like the dollar sign. So anyway, that's a pretty great idea because Johnny Manziel will never be more beloved, have more fame than in College Station, Texas, where he, of course, brought that program to heights it hadn't been in half a century and still has not been able to replicate since joining the SEC, try as they might. But it really, I wish him well with that. Look, a Johnny Manziel bar in College Station near campus is a brilliant thing. He'll do gangbusters there, and it's a really smart thing to do, so good for him. More than anything, I'm just glad that I get to play my favorite soundbite of all time, and I do not say that lightly. One of my favorite LSU athletes ever that I've covered was Sam Montgomery, who was an All-American defensive end from South Carolina, who famously before the national championship game against Alabama did not know who Bear Bryant was. They called him Sonic Sam because he loved the video game Sonic the Hedgehog. Sam was a basketball player from South Carolina who didn't play football until very late and was basically just a great big giant kid who was always a joy to talk to. And this is quite literally one of my favorite sound bites ever. If I'm not mistaken, this was on the day, I may have the dates mixed up, but I'm almost positive. This was the day in 2012 that LSU beat number 3 South Carolina. That was the team with Jadeveon Clowney and Marcus Lattimore, Connor Shaw. Remember that old team? And LSU beat him. It was a great game. But I believe that was the same day in 2012 that Johnny Football and A&M beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Well, after the game, after the LSU game, Sam Montgomery was asked about Johnny Football, and this was the 1-minute interaction he had. I was standing right there, like a foot from him, and it was one of the funniest things then and still is one of my favorite sound bites ever today.
Did you hear it when they announced the score over the last system?
Oh, yeah, I heard about it. Honestly, Texas A&M, like I told you, Johnny Football is nothing to play with. He's not. And, one of the things about Johnny Football is, like I told reporters before, my hat's off to Johnny Football. If there's anybody that should win the Heisman, Sam Montgomery's vote would be in for Johnny Football. I feel as though he makes people have to sit back. You wonder why we didn't have any pass rush that game? Johnny Football makes you not pass rush. He makes you sit back and have to play him. You have to make Johnny Football a passer. You have to have something. That kid's unbelievable. I just don't know how to stop him.
What was the feeling that you got when you heard that Alabama had lost?
Johnny Football. That's the first thing that popped in my mind. And does anybody know the stats? Because I bet you Johnny Football had one marvelous performance.
Stats, anybody?
A couple of touchdowns. I know he has some passing yards and he has some running yards. The kid's the leading. He's a quarterback and he's a leading rusher in the SEC. Heisman, give it to him.
Sam Montgomery said Johnny Football. I counted in a 1 minute and 10-second clip. Said Johnny Football 8 times. Johnny Football. Heisman, give it to him. Sam Montgomery was magnificent. And I'm only glad that Johnny Manziel's opening that bar because he gave me an opportunity, or an excuse, rather, to play the Sam Montgomery clip. All right, it's after further review. We do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solutions. The Auburn Tigers.
Well, if you're wondering who is going to get the first crack at the starting quarterback job there on the Plains, it is Michigan State transfer Peyton Thorne. He took the first reps with the ones, although Hugh Freeze was non-committal about who his starting quarterback would be. Peyton Thorne went first. Holden Griner, the redshirt freshman, went second. And then Robbie Ashford, who started games for Auburn at the end of the 2022 season, was the third quarterback to take his turn.
The Florida Gators.
Sophomore linebacker Shamar James, who's a projected starter in that Florida defense, he suffered a leg injury during Wednesday's practice. The timetable for James' return is not clear. It was a contact-related injury. In 13 games as a true freshman last year, James had 47 tackles. That was the second most among SEC true freshman linebackers. A former Ohio State linebacker, Terada Mitchell, is also one of the expected starters at linebacker at Florida.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
Redshirt junior Thayu Jones-Bell, no longer listed on Alabama's football roster. Played in 4 games for the Tide last year. For his career, just 4 receptions for 19 yards. He was a 4-star recruit, the number 143 player nationally. He did go through spring drills with the Crimson Tide, but no longer with the team.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Tennessee baseball has added a pitcher via the transfer portal. It's senior Chris Stamos from Cal. He'll play for the Vols in 2023. Stamos appeared in 36 games with 5 starts a year ago. He had a 6.75 ERA.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
2 new assistants joining Eric Musselman's staff on the hardwood there in Fayetteville. Tommy Abdenor is the special assistant to the head coach, and Ryan Widoff, the coordinator of creative content. So Abdenor spent the last 4 seasons as an assistant coach at Linwood, former Division II school, which moved up to Division I last year. And then Widoff will be in charge of overseeing and producing content for the team's social media. All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal and our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products. I got a text earlier from Trey, and I was fired up about this. I got to share it. So Baton Rouge Business Report had released its rankings in its list makers of the top companies in each industry, and shout out Gulf Coast Office Products, the number 1 company in our region for office equipment and supply dealers. Of course, President Trey Beal with 55 local employees. They are local, but they are big enough to serve all of the Gulf South. It's Gulf Coast Office Products. GCOPnet.com. GCOPnet.com. You want to do business with the best? You call Gulf Coast Office Products. GCOPnet.com. All right, y'all, it's after further review. We'll put a button here on hour number 1 when we come back. The number 1 player in the country, Colin Simmons, the edge rusher, he has announced his commitment date, and there are some people in the know who feel like he is a heavy lean toward the Tigers. So we're going to get to that here to wrap up hour number 1. And in 17 minutes, as we kick off the second hour of AFR today, we will talk about conference realignment and how it appears as though the Pac-12 is not only on life support, the plug might very well have been pulled today. We'll tell you the absolute latest in about 17 minutes from right now. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel. The Watermark downtown, the Renaissance in Southtown Baton Rouge. Of course, Best Dress Ball coming up a week from Saturday, one of our city's grandest events. If you're going to be going to Best Dressed, Watermark is a great spot to be before the event or after. Go enjoy a cocktail or a glass of wine there at the gorgeous lobby bar at the Watermark Hotel. It's walking distance to the River Center, just a few blocks away. Everything so centrally located in downtown Baton Rouge. Maybe enjoy a meal at the Gregory. If you're going to be staying at the Watermark Saturday night, wake up on Sunday and have brunch at the Gregory at the Watermark Hotel. Remember, if you're worried about parking in downtown, there's valet services at the Watermark. And if you're going to eat at the Gregory, they have complimentary valet for their diners. It's there at the Watermark Hotel in downtown Baton Rouge. Two amazing hotel properties. The Watermark downtown, the Renaissance right there on Bluebonnet near I-10. For your next great event, make sure you call the Watermark or the Renaissance.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
This summer, retirement is a state of mind. Whether it's a mid-morning activity or an early bird special, grab a Coors Light and chill like you're retired.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. A justice of the peace in East Baton Rouge Parish jailed for abusing his family, released from jail after entering guilty pleas in court. Moses Evans received credit for time served after being locked away for nearly 5 years. Today we sat down with him as he fights to try to see his family he abused again. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
Wrapping up hour number 1, it was a day 1 of fall camp out at LSU. A lot of you did ask. I asked if you had questions. One came in from Nathan Hodge, who said, hey, Matt, any thoughts on Brian Kelly's statement regarding Aaron Anderson about his versatility? Let's play that one, Muse, if we could. This is Brian Kelly, number 9, after practice today.
Mostly running him out of the slot receiver. I think there's going to be a lot more to see from him, as we continue to build the offense. I think you'll see him involved in touching the ball in other areas as well, from the backfield. I think you'll see him in the special teams game. So today was the first glimpse. Obviously, he's got speed, explosiveness. He's kind of what we thought he would be. Our strength coaches really liked his work ethic, very strong in the weight room. So I would say that I think we've just scratched the surface in terms of what we can do with him.
That makes a lot of sense. As far as the return game, we did get to see the specialists for a little bit indoors, and Gregory Clayton, Aaron Anderson were the first 2 that went with the punt returners. 33, I'm blanking on his name. My apologies. It's the young guy from New Orleans who played that role a little bit last year. And then 12, which I think is Prion. I'm learning the freshman, so my apologies, y'all. You have to bear with me. When, as I mentioned earlier, when you're rolling out there, you kind of roll with just with numbers to take your notes, and we're learning a lot of these younger guys. So real quick, I'm sorry. I just need to keep my roster with me for a while. I'm sorry, Parker. 12 is Kyle Parker. And then 33 was the other one returning punts back there. That's Javen Nicholas from St. Aug, who did that a bit last year as well. So, but yeah, we got to see Aaron Anderson in a pass catcher role and returning punts out there, and it wouldn't surprise me at all because of his great speed if they use him on jet sweeps and things like that. So keep the questions coming. We'll get through all of them here, as many of them as we can throughout the course of the day today. Next week, 1 week from today, is a potentially massively significant day for LSU. The number one player in the country for the class of 2024, Colin Simmons, today announced his commitment date. It's kind of silly, though, as far as this goes, where recruits announce their top 10 and then their top 5, and then they announce their commitment date, and then they announce their announcement. But in any event, we know now that just a few days after leaving LSU for the Bayou Splash, the edge rusher, the number one player in the country, Colin Simmons, is going to make his decision. He's deciding among LSU, Texas, and Miami. So he's down to those 3, and LSU got the most recent visit. Of course, he's from the state of Texas, so maybe to the hometown Longhorns have a little bit of an edge. Possibly, I could understand that. It is interesting, though, today that both Shea Dixon and Billy Embody, on the day that Colin Simmons announced his commitment date, both have announced their prediction for Colin Simmons to LSU. For what it's worth, at On3's recruiting prediction machine, 47% of those that have put in a prediction have Simmons going to Texas. 34% have him going to LSU. Alabama and Georgia, a distant 3rd and 4th. But he's the number one edge in the country, and in the composite, they've got him as the 5th best player and the number one edge. So this is a huge prospect, and LSU got the last visit, so we'll keep an eye on that. We also learned that his teammate, Caden Durham, the running back, is also going to announce 1 week from today. So they're going to announce their commitments together next Thursday, August the 10th. Durham is choosing among LSU, Oklahoma, and Texas A&M. He has long thought to have been an LSU lean at running back, and LSU is desperate to get a great running back in this class. I understand that LSU has 8 running backs on the roster right now, but we know that guys like Noah Cain and John Emery, Josh Williams, you could lose a bulk of your backs. You're always susceptible to transfer when you have that many players. You've still got Armani Goodwin. Logan Diggs has a couple of years if he wants to use them both here in Baton Rouge. And then you have the 2 freshmen. But, LSU, you're talking about with Caden Durham, 4-star, the number 8 running back in the country, who's got offers from every major program. And again, on the On3 recruiting prediction machine, 95% have him as an LSU lean. So the LSU's likely to get the commitment from Cade Durham 1 week from today, the running back, and his teammate Colin Simmons, the number one edge, is going to announce on the same day. So we'll see if they decide to announce in tandem together to go to LSU together, which is certainly what a lot of people here would hope for. The tough part about trying to predict that with recruiting is, man, no matter who you talk to, you're talking to either the player's family, player's coaches, or you're talking to the school that you cover's coaches. And you just never know who. I mean, a coach could be being completely transparent and honest with you, but you don't know if the kid is being completely transparent and honest with him. Similarly, if you're talking to the kid, you don't know if they're being completely transparent and honest with you. So it's just one of those things you wait it out and you sweat it out until signing day. But Colin Simmons and Caden Durham will both announce 1 week from today. Could be a massive day for LSU football. All right, it's after further review. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. Our shows, as always, are brought to you by our friends over at Traction Sports, TractionSports.com. Traction, where champions are made. We did the Traction draft earlier today for flag football. Next week, middle of next week is the deadline to sign up your son or daughter. It's co-ed league from kindergarten through 8th grade. So obviously there's kindergartner, 1st grade, 2nd grade, 4th, and so on. So you're playing in your own age group. But if your son or daughter wants to play flag football this fall, it's not too late. TractionSports.com to register, TractionSports.com, and start to think, y'all, if If your son or daughter is in the off season of their sport, if they're a spring or summer sport athlete or winter, you can send them to Traction this fall for sport-specific small group training with the same trainers, the same facility where all these professional athletes train. You want to get them the best training possible for their specific sport? Traction. TractionSports.com, TractionSports.com, Traction, where champions are made. All right, y'all, it is After Further Review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. Sean Comiskey sent a text asking how the specialists looked at LSU today. So when they were in the indoor, because of the low ceiling, we didn't get to see them punt. The punt returners caught the ball like off of a jugs machine, basically. When they went outside, we did see Damian Ramos working on his place kicking as we were walking to the far field, but looked just fine. I don't worry about the specialists. LSU's specialists, Ramos was fine last year. Jay Bramblett was very good last year. The problem they had were functioning within all the special teams units, and that's what they desperately need to improve upon. Okay, Sports Center coming up. Then it's hour number 2.
AFR.
I want to take 60 seconds and remind you about Mold Zero USA. It stormed across all of South Louisiana yesterday. And when it rains, so often you may have water penetration in your home you're not aware of until you are, and there's a problem. And with weather like that, water and humidity, it's a breeding ground for mold. So if you have mold, think you might have mold. Maybe you've got odors in your home or your office building you want to get rid of. Mold Zero can knock that out as well. They're going to kill those harmful pathogens, the bacteria that's causing odor, or it'll kill mold, or whatever other pathogens, harmful pathogens might be in your home, your office building, your apartment complex, your commercial building, your gym, your locker room, workout facility. You want to clean it, knock out mold and mildew and odor and all those other things. Mold Zero can do it more effectively, quicker than traditional remediation efforts. Learn more at mold-0usa.com. Mold-0usa.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,500 off MSRP on all new 23 Ram 1500 Laramie trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
We're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. This just in, ESPN's Pete Thamel reports Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti will explore adding Oregon and Washington to the conference. If the schools were added, they would only get partial shares of conference revenues. The president of Florida State, Richard McCullough, tells the school's board of trustees they might have to seriously consider leaving the ACC. FSU is not happy with the league's distribution of revenues. ESPN's Heather Dinich.
I don't think it's been any secret that Clemson and Miami have also been clamoring for more money and different distribution. And there has certainly been interest from other conferences and conversations about the value of North Carolina and Virginia in terms of their market and recruiting grounds.
Heather Dinich. The Jets and Browns kick off the NFL preseason tonight in the annual Hall of Fame game. Already in Canton today, a celebration of life for Hall of Famer Jim Brown, who died back in May at age 87. Brown played 9 years in Cleveland.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. Fortunately, Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. It's a good thing, too, because having a home is hard work. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. Geico.com. Easy.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt!
Hey, shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Yusu. And Mr. Toby Tom Plate. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. We'll head up to Charlotte in 15 minutes. As I told you, we're going to take this time to check in this week with how training camp is going with each team in the NFC South. If you missed it, we checked in on the Atlanta Falcons yesterday, Panthers today, Bucks tomorrow. So looking forward to chatting with our buddy Julian Council here in about 15 minutes from right now. You heard it in SportsCenter right there if you were listening. Conference realignment is hitting a fever pitch here today. Pete Thamel with the latest. Big Ten presidents met early Thursday, and they have authorized, Commissioner Tony Petitti to explore expansion and specifically to bring back more information on Oregon and Washington. No offers have been made. Thamel goes on to say a deal is uncertain. He notes about a political thicket within potential additions because moves don't offer the current Big Ten schools any additional money. USC doesn't have a vote. He goes on and points out some of the USC's been vocal about not wanting other West Coast Big Ten teams, whatever. Notes Oregon and Washington would also have to come to terms with not getting a full share, which isn't a slam dunk for them. There's potential, but significant roadblocks remain. I'll remind you that specifically with the schools in the Pac-12, the issue is their TV deal. Everyone has reported this today. Matt Zenitz at On3 did a really good job because he spoke to a lot of athletic directors who were quoted anonymously about this deal. The Apple deal that's been proposed is estimated to be in the low 20 millions per year. Ross Dellinger at Yahoo had that. Low 20 million per year. I want to remind you that when the SEC adds Texas and Oklahoma, eventually during this TV deal, the schools are going to see 9-figure annual payouts, north of $100 million a year. The Apple deal that's been proposed in the Pac-12 is in the low 20s. How do you stay competitive? You can't. And this is, one of the athletic directors that he quoted in this piece said, again, it's anonymously quoted, but I want to read this to you. And I don't want to bore you, but I think this is the really impactful part of this. So this was an athletic director who said anonymously, quote, "We are going to end up paying our student athletes, and we're going to end up revenue sharing with them. And that's fine maybe for Ohio States of the world, but that's not fine for the vast majority of other schools. We do not have the resources. When we're starting fiscal years off several million in the hole operationally because of the cost of doing business and the lack of institutional support, we have to go out and fundraise. Then we're projecting that within the next 3 to 5 years, now that we've asked the federal government to get involved, that we're going to have to share a percentage of our revenue. We don't have it. So the revenue is going to be that much more important," end quote. I want to say this again. This is a decades-old college football problem, and the bill is now coming due. I think by and large people see these large sums of money in this TV deals and whatnot, and you assume that everybody has these giant swaths of money. But at the end of a year, most of these athletic departments, and when I say most, I mean all but maybe a dozen or so, lose money. They have to be subsidized by their university, by their state. They lose money. And a large part of it is because it's like the neighbor, it's the keeping up with the Joneses thing. But you have to do it to be competitive. Oh, your neighbor got a Mercedes? Well, you go buy a Mercedes or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like that you can't afford. Instead of paying for what you can afford and being super thrilled about the life you live. That's the problem that most of these athletic departments have. They have no business paying coaches high 6- and 7-figure salaries that they can't afford, but they do it anyway because they feel like that's what they have to do to be competitive. And build new facilities that they buy on credit. That they have to take out giant loans that they can't pay. That's the problem. But that's been a decades-old problem in college football because they've tried to convince you that Oregon State is the same thing as Alabama, which it's not. They've tried to convince you that Rutgers is the same as Georgia, which it's not. And it never will be. So we're heading toward the thing that I've always said, which is it's going to be one college football, invite only. The haves and the have-nots will finally be separated. Someone just asked me via text a bit ago. I'll tell you whose name it was. I'd rather give him credit on air. I asked the question. It was Brett Bergeron. So, Matt, are you going to have a take on the ACC potentially dissolving? Absolutely. The ACC signed a horrendous TV deal to try to keep itself afloat. But the irony of that is the horrendous TV deal that they signed to keep themselves afloat is the thing that's ultimately going to kill them. But all of these leagues are going to dissolve. There aren't going to be there will be a day in college football where there are no conferences. It's just college football in the same way that the NFL is just the NFL. And then you break it up however you need to, divisions, regionally, sectionally, whatever, for scheduling purposes and proximity and all that stuff. But it's not pretending like the American Athletic Conference is the same as the Southeastern Conference. It's not, and it never has been and never will be. We're heading that way, and it's happening right now. And it'll be phases. The Big Ten will go to 18 or 20. The SEC will be at 16 and probably go beyond that. They had Florida State and Clemson, whoever we're talking. I mean, and it's just going to be an inevitability where it's just invite only. The top 40, 50 programs, whatever they are, that have value will be included, and the others won't. And we'll all be better for it. We will all be better for it. We'll get to see games we want to see. We'll get a true postseason. We can stop pretending that all things are equal in college football and major college athletics, which they're not. So we're heading there. Today's a pretty pivotal day. All right, y'all. It's after further review. We are brought to you by DraftKings. So if you want to go wager on any of this fun college football stuff, you can do it at DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. New customers use the promo code Baton Rouge, and they'll give you $150 in bonus bets instantly when you make a $5 bet. So new customers, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. One word put together, Baton Rouge. Make a $5 bet. $5 bet. They'll give you $150 in bonus bets instantly. Maybe you bet on another app. Okay. Well, download DraftKings now and take advantage of the $150 in bonus bets they're giving you. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. Make a $5 bet. NFL future. You got the Hall of Fame game tonight. You want to bet on some preseason football? Why not? Do it tonight. Hall of Fame game. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. $5 bet instantly. They'll give you $150 in bonus bets. It's only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. 21 and older, physically present in Louisiana. Select pairs only. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/baseball terms. Licensing partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-426-2537. I mentioned you. Please just send me your questions. I was out at fall camp for LSU earlier today. No Saints practice today. I gave you my camp report to open the show, but I'll keep sprinkling in a lot of what Brian Kelly had to say and a lot of your questions throughout. So you can email me at Matt Moscona on X.
Hey, Twitter world.
You're just not going to let it go, are you? Never going to let it go?
I'm not going to let it go. I'm not.
Is George Xing?
I don't know.
Truly?
I don't know. He was never actually really even tweeting. He was just posting videos about himself.
But he would say, hey, Twitter world.
He would say, hey,
and
Twitter
so
world.
I'm curious, if he posts a new video, will he lead with, hey, X world?
There's one way to find out.
Oh, let's find that out. All right. Anyway. So get your question. You could text 225-396-4400, 396-4400. Let's see. Somebody asked about Mason Smith. It was sorry, I'm trying to give y'all credit whenever you do ask about a player. There was Kyle Milliken. Kyle Milliken said, how did Mason Smith look today? Mason Smith looked great. He was wearing knee braces on both legs, which is pretty customary. It's pretty normal for all interior linemen to wear knee braces on both legs. He did not have a no-contact jersey on, so he was a full go. They were doing pursuit drills. He was doing everything. He was doing literally everything they were doing. Hitting the dummies, hitting the sleds, doing pursuit drills. Mason Smith did everything today that the defensive line did. We did, of course, yesterday, a big story as we were going off air was Jimmy Lindsey, the defensive line coach, who was taken to the hospital with personal health matter. Brian Kelly was asked today about a timeline for Jimmy Lindsey's return. Brian Kelly was asked today about a timeline for Jimmy Lindsey's return. Here's what he said.
Really don't. It's really in medical hands at this point, and we're trying to stay updated. We'll probably get another update sometime today.
One thing that was, I'll go into a little more detail about this a bit later in the show when I have some time. Suffice to say that LSU is in very good hands with John Jancic and Bob Diaco. I do not know how in the world Bob Diaco could ever have a desk job. That dude was he's 50 years old, was doing every defensive, he's working with the jack linebackers. This is like a New York, Upper East Coast Italian dude who's up there slamming the sleds and the pads and hitting the guys and ripping and getting up, demonstrating everything. How that guy could live life not coaching on the field it's mind-boggling. So they're in good hands. We'll talk more about the defensive line coming up a bit later in the show. I got a quick break. Want to head up to Charlotte. We'll get an update on the Panthers. Going to the NFC South locations this week. So yesterday Atlanta, today Charlotte, tomorrow we'll head down to Tampa. Our buddy Julian Council will be here next. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music.
We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7, The Tiger.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
I want to take some time this week to stop in at each camp in the NFC South. Yesterday, we looked at the Falcons. Today, let's head up to Charlotte. Our buddy Julian Council is with us here. Take a look at the Panthers and how things are going a week into camp. Hey, man, how are you?
Good, man. How are you doing?
Doing really well. What is the more interesting storyline there right now? Is it Frank Reich in his first season, or is it Bryce Young?
It's Bryce Young.
Okay.
The Panthers traded up from 9 to 1, gave up DJ Moore, a first-round pick next year, a second-round pick this past draft, and one in 2025. So the guy they gave all that up for is absolutely the top storyline here in Carolina.
Okay, so a weekend to camp. How's he doing?
He's doing well. I feel like he's going through the typical rookie growing pains that you're going to see. I know it's been about 5 straight practices that he's thrown an interception, which would usually be alarming for people. But when the context is provided, like last night, they had Fan Fest up here in Charlotte at Bank of America Stadium, and he took a deep shot into the end zone where there really wasn't much of a chance. But Frank Reich told me, I just want to see how our defense reacts. So in that situation, it wasn't like it was all on Bryce. That's what the coach was trying to see. And then a couple of days ago, going through red zone periods, first the ones that they had on Monday, Bryce was pretty surgical in that period, but also threw an interception into those tight windows. And we know in college, the windows are much bigger than they are in the NFL, and it's a time for him to learn, hey, what can you get away with, what can you not get away with? And the process going to the red zone that Frank Reich brought up was it's either touchdown or check down. And if the touchdown's not there, check it down. But there's times where in practice, hey, why not? Just see what you can do, and if that's something that you can get away with in the NFL. And when you do it in practice, day 4 training camp, then you know that once you get to week 4 of the regular season, hey, that's just not a risk that's worth taking. And so far, Bryce Young, in the mistakes that he's made, he's owned up to them, but there's also been some context provided that way you feel like, okay, actually he's doing some of the things the coaching staff wants. But yeah, maybe there's a little bit of things to clean up, which isn't really that surprising for a rookie quarterback that has been in training camp for, 8 days now?
Yeah. That he's going to be fascinating, and in many respects, how Bryce Young goes, so will the Panthers go this year. But what about Frank Reich? How different is just the feeling this year as opposed to last year with Matt Rule before he was let go?
Oh, it's night and day. You go out there, and there's no wasted time. There's no wasted energy. You don't have someone who seems just to be vocal, just to be heard. There's actually kind of more professional environment down there at training camp. So the vibes are completely different. When you have a coach that has proven in the league when he has a quarterback that he can win. And oftentimes in the NFL, and you guys know that right down there in Louisiana with the Saints, if you have a quarterback, you're probably going to win. If you don't, and they're injured, like the last 2 years with the Saints, you're not going to win. And with the Panthers, the last couple seasons, we're just having, guys who really aren't up to the standards that you need to win at this level. The vibe is totally different now with Frank Reich, who in Indy won with Andrew Luck his first year. And when Phillip Rivers was on his last leg, to be able to win with him. And didn't really have that bad of a season with Brissett, and things were good with Carson Wentz until they weren't. So, yeah, the vibes here are just completely different. And, I mean, that's the NFL. Being in the NFC South helps, but also being the NFL is the one sport that we have in our country where everyone feels like they have a chance, and they sell hope better than anyone out there. And hope is a drug, and Carolina Panthers fans are certainly getting as much of it as they want right now.
Well, even with all the struggles, I mean, it's the Panthers, the Saints, the Falcons were all 7-10 a year ago. And so they all have a reason to believe you're close to the tipping point to go to the positive side. When Julian Council is our guest, Locked on Panthers. When we talk about the Saints, like every day we know that there's a certain player or position group that are being highlighted for some particular reason. What is that player, outside of Bryce Young, of course, player position group so far week into camp?
So far for the Panthers, I think there's 2. Wide receiver, when you bring in a rookie, you want to have weapons around him. And especially when you get rid of what would have been his top weapon in DJ Moore trading in Chicago in that trade, there's going to be questions of, is there enough? And you look at it on paper, DJ Chark has been a Pro Bowler, but that's been the anomaly of the seasons that he's played in the NFL. He struggled with injuries, but we know when healthy, which was really that 1 year in Jacksonville when he was a Pro Bowl guy, he was a pretty good player for you. And he was for them, but he was good last year in Detroit when healthy. And I think that so far the connection with him and Bryce has been good. I know he's an LSU guy, and there are plenty of people out there, your listeners, love him and want to see what he can do. And I think he can get to that level of being a very good contributor. I just don't know if he's going to be a 1,000-yard receiver this upcoming season. So you're looking at him, Adam Thielen, who's age 33, and I feel dirty saying this as being a 30-year-old man, but he's kind of up there in age in the NFL. And you wonder how much he really has left in him after the Vikings cut him. But if you look at it, with Terrace Marshall last year, Shai Smith, and Laviska Shenault, he had a better season by himself in Minnesota with Kirk Cousins, who is much better than what the Panthers threw out there at quarterback last year. So possibly you can get something out of him. I kind of throw Hayden Hurst out there as well because he's tight end, and Panthers haven't had a pass-catching tight end in the last couple of years, and that's a position that's going to certainly be utilized in this offense. So that group of pass catchers is under the microscope, and whether they're good enough, I still am not overwhelmed by them, but I feel like at the end of last season, it was pretty much DJ Moore and sometimes Terrace Marshall. There's at least more options for Bryce Young heading into the season than there were for Sam Darnold / Baker Mayfield / PJ Walker a year ago. Then the other position group people were looking at is edge rusher. You have Brian Burns. He's terrific. He's waiting on a new contract. That's one storyline, but doesn't really seem to be something that's impacting him or the organization right now. What is a concern is they don't have anyone opposite of him that scares anybody. And last season, Marquise Haynes wasn't up to it. Frankie Louvu, in his first year as a starter, played mainly inside, but he also got to play some outside linebacker, had 7 sacks, and the expectation is that he would probably bounce around again this year, and especially not Deion Jones is in Carolina. But there's just not that guy that they have, like they have with Hassan Reddick, who had an amazing season last year in Philadelphia, that you also feel like, okay, teams need to scout for and need to scheme against have in mind when they're scheming. Really, it's just like, all right, get away from Burns and you can have success. So, yeah, wide receiver, the pass catching group overall, and out and edge rusher, that's kind of the two spots that are under the microscope through the first week of training camp down here.
You mentioned Debo Jones, obviously another LSU guy. We talked about DJ Chark. What about Debo? How's I know it's just been a couple of days, but how's he looking so far?
Yeah, it's too early, honestly, to tell. He's healthy, and that's what's important. And I've said to people, when he's been healthy, he's been pretty doggone good. Like in Atlanta, 5 of the 6 years, he had 100 tackles. The 1 year he didn't was when he was injured. And then last year in Cleveland, he was coming back from that shoulder issue and played in 11 games, only started 5. I think they have big plans that he could be a starter potentially for them and give them the flexibility to put Frankie Louvu at outside linebacker if that's the case. Or if something happens to Louvu or Shaq Thompson, there probably won't be that much drop-off now that you have a player who has been a Pro Bowler, who's been experienced, and has made some plays in this league.
He's Julian Council on Twitter at Julian Council, Locked On Panthers. In the next week before they get into preseason games, what's going to be the big storyline heading into the first preseason game, either a player or position group or something that needs to shake out through the 3 weeks of the preseason?
Well, the Jets are coming to town next week, so
that'll be a big storyline.
Yeah, so that would be the big storyline. They're going to have joint practices with Jets, who I guess have Super Bowl aspirations, which sounds insane because it's Jets. They have Aaron Rodgers. They got Hard Knocks following around, and they have a pretty damn good defense. So the Panthers' offensive line, in particular, Cade Mays, who is filling in for Austin Corbett, who tore his ACL in that Week 18 walk-off win against the Saints. He's going to probably start off he's already on PUP, but I think he'll be on PUP to start off the season as well and miss at least the first 4 weeks. So seeing what Cade Mays can do against them, seeing Workiki Kwanu, the left tackle, who was really good for them last year, how he's developed against that Jets defensive line, that will be one of the storylines to look at. And of course, how does Bryce Young look against what was one of the better defenses in the NFL last year? And I have no reason to think that the Jets defense is going to drop off this season as well. So that's really the storyline, and what the defense, of course, looks like against Aaron Rodgers. And these coaches always say they get way more done with joint practices than they actually do get accomplished in some of these preseason games. So yeah, that's what we're all looking at here in Carolina the next week.
I mean, Saints are projected at 9.5. The Falcons are at 8.5. Panthers at 7.5. Bucks at 6.5. When you look at Carolina in that number, if you had to pick it today, you going over or under the 7.5?
7-10 last year, and they started on a 1-4 hole because Matt Rule was in over his head. Really 1-5 hole because Steve Wilkes took over the interim, refused to let PJ Walker throw the ball past the line of scrimmage against that terrible Rams team, and they still had a chance to win the division potentially there in Week 17 had they beaten Tampa Bay and then followed that up by beating New Orleans. We'll never know what would have happened had they beaten the Bucs that day. So it's hard to think that they would go 7-10 with all the circumstances that went against them last year. Again this year, so I'll take the over. But I guess the other side of the coin is rookie quarterback, new scheme, both on offense and defense, haven't really been relevant for 5 years now. Hard to buy into that, but I can buy into 8-9. I don't know if I can buy in 9-8 just yet. I still think New Orleans certainly is top of the division. I think Atlanta's improved, but yeah, I'll take the over right now for Carolina.
He's Julian Council on Twitter at Julian Council. Make sure you subscribe up Locked On Panthers. If you want to, as they say, keep your friends close, your enemies closer, subscribe up to the Locked On Panthers podcast. Great stuff as always, man. We appreciate you. Be well.
All right. Take care, Matt.
All right, man. That is Julian Council. Does a great job covering the Panthers, so we appreciate him for a couple of minutes here. Tomorrow we'll head down to Tampa and take a look at how things are coming along with the Bucs so far. Yesterday, Zeno told us the play for Atlanta is where the odds are is bet them to win the division. That's where the value would be. Julian telling you there, 7.5. Take the over with Carolina. Everybody's pretty. I'm curious it'll be in Tampa. Now ain't no way Tampa's winning. There's no way anybody who covers the Bucs can really project the Bucs to win over 6 games. Like Tampa Bay is tanking. They are trying to sell you right now that Kyle Trash is pushing Baker Mayfield. This is the National Football League. You're telling me you're going into an NFL schedule with those two guys as your trigger man, and you're going to somehow go over 6.5 wins? No way. Muse, who do we have tomorrow? Do we have it yet booked?
We don't have it booked yet.
All right. Whoever we have from Tampa tomorrow, I'm going to ask them the same question. Can anyone who covers that team realistically pick that team over 6.5?
I would think not, but
I can't believe the number 6.5.
I didn't expect Mark Zeno to be as fired up as he was yesterday about the Atlanta Falcons. So I don't want to say it's impossible.
All right. It's after further review. Gordon McKernan's in studio with us next. Stick around.
AFR.
Brought to you by Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area, Segan Air Airline, LA16 in Denham, Mid-City on Don Moore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Hey, look, tonight when I get home, no doubt we'll go jump in the pool with Drew, and I'll be outside around dusk, pool, some water behind our house as well. You know what won't bother me when I'm outside this evening? Mosquitoes. We've got the Aeon mosquito barrier at our house. I've told you about it before. You've heard me talk about it. You don't need to remember the name. Just go to Clegg's and say, hey, what's the mosquito thing that I hear Moscona talk about? They'll know exactly what it is. They have an end cap at all the 4 locations, so you'll see the display, the display set up. It's a rectangular box. There's 2 tubes in it. It's got granules in it. You pop off the top, you fill it up with water to the fill line, shake it up, top back on, hang it on your property line. Try to snap, hang on. You're done with mosquitoes 90 days at a time. It's at Clegg's Nursery. Of course, full greenhouses and everything you'd find at a True Value hardware store you'll find at Clegg's Nursery. So buy local, shop local at Clegg's Nursery.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come on, in Baton Rouge. Operator, what you put me on through? Gotta send my love down to
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
All right, good to have our guy Gordon McKernan in studio with us. How are you, man?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Great.
It's good to see you, man. So much going on this time of year. I know last year when we talked about this time of year, gearing up toward football season, it's when you were sort of like cannonballing into the deep end of the whole NIL space.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you had to encompass what this year has been like for you,
right?
Have you taken any time to just pull back and look and sort of take account of what all the last year has been?
Yeah, in a sense, I did. I guess I was fortunate enough to go to Omaha, and that was after the ladies basketball championship, and being there at that game, and baseball, you kind of get to be a little bit closer to the action in some sense, but to watch our Get Gordon athletes play so well, and just there after the stadium's clearing out, and you're go down and visit with the guys. That was pretty special, and flying back, reflecting, and just thinking about where it's come from, just Kayshawn to that,
right,
branching out to all these other sports. It was a little surreal. It really was.
Gordon did a podcast episode with me and Jonathan Pixley on Rosters to Riches. So, and that's just all about NIL. So I'll plug it and say, look, if you want to, we probably spent an hour just talking about all the NIL stuff, but the surface level is, Kayshawn wasn't your first, but it was the first big NIL deal.
It was the one that changed things.
Of course. And everybody took notice.
Right.
But since, it's not just the football players, but like you were one of the first in women's basketball, and then boom. And then baseball, Natty.
Yeah.
It's like, so when we talk about NIL in this context, do you feel like the ROI has been there as a business owner?
Yeah, for sure. It really did. And I also caught a lucky break or two, right? You placed a couple of bets and they worked out. So yeah, I think the ROI for what I did for my company and my brand, it was a home run.
Yeah,
it really was.
Some really cool stuff though. The last time you and I talked was right after you got back from the Jello Shot Challenge.
Yeah.
Right. So the hats went bonkers, but I got a hat, by the way. So
Good.
I did get a hat.
Yep.
So fired up about that. But one of the things that I want to make sure people know is, in conjunction with a lot of the Get Gordon athletes, you're doing really cool stuff. Like, can you fill us in on what happened with Gavin Guidry? This is a really cool story, which hits home for my family for sure.
Yeah. So this is the second year we've done something with the Miracle League. And the Miracle League is a nonprofit which tries to give opportunities to children with disabilities to be involved in baseball. And just a guy I bumped into at the gym came up to me and said, "Hey, look, I'm the director involved. I'd love for you to get involved." So last year we did. We sent some players out to their season finale, and it was a great experience. And so this year we said, let's do it again. So Gavin Dugas, Gavin Guidry, Trey Morgan, and we brought a football player, Shelton Sampson, out.
Yeah.
And the four of them went out there to help with the pitching and the hitting, the base running, be on the field, just helping create enthusiasm, which they do. These kids know who they are, and they did that. And Guidry was so moved by it. As the Louisiana High School Gatorade Player of the Year, he has some opportunities to make nominations, and he nominated the Miracle League for the Play It Forward Gatorade contest, and Gatorade will select different ones that they want to support, partner with, and we end up getting a $1,000 grant through that, and Taylor and others helped produce a video with Gavin, which we sent off and showed all about the Miracle League, and actually got some money for the Miracle League. So it was a great thing. Have a lot of admiration for Gavin because it touched him, and he actually did something about it, right? He just didn't just sit back, but it was a great feeling.
They were showing the video that's up right here, and my niece, who plays in the Miracle League, is in the video.
Oh, okay.
And my son plays. A lot of people know my son Drew, but he wasn't there that day because he's with the younger kiddos that played on Tuesday. I think this was the Thursday group.
Right.
But the Miracle League is incredible.
It is.
It's an amazing organization, and so to have that connection is really awesome. So hat tip certainly to you and to Gavin as well for doing that. Gordon McKernan's in studio with us. Another thing that you did too, everybody learned Cade Belloso's story this year, right?
Yeah.
So he tore up his knee. He comes back for another year. He's going to get married. They delay the whole thing or whatever. So have the Bellosos had their nuptials yet? Or are they coming up?
It's in November.
In November.
Yeah. Yes,
so
it's
what
November.
What are you doing for Cade?
Well, I was up in Omaha, and he had some key moments in the series.
Yeah,
right?
he did.
Played really well. In listening to different people around and talk about him in what he faced. My brother-in-law's, the doctor, the team, and talking about injuries and all that, and what he put aside so that he could come back one more year, go ahead and get married then and moving on from baseball when he really should have in a lot of ways. It was time.
Sure.
But he said no. He wanted to be a part of, thought he's something special. And I read somewhere he was getting married and he's coming back and how excited he was. And I don't know, just something moved me where, I didn't think he'd be drafted. He wasn't drafted after all. And I said, well, Shannon, my wife, why don't we do something nice for him? Just because he gave up something, why don't we give up something? Why don't we send him on a honeymoon, pay for his honeymoon, right? And I didn't know him, just reached out. And Ramsey, who with my office, called him, came up to the office and said, look, I don't want anything from you. I just want to let you know that I want to pay for your honeymoon. And, not saying a grown man cried, but it was very special.
Wait, which grown man? You or him?
It was a good moment, right? And
really cool.
what a wonderful guy. And he's going to get married down in he's going to vacation and honeymoon down in St. Lucia.
Oh, that's awesome.
I meant to bring you a little video because we had a fun night. I took the players out, Gavin, Trey, Gavin, and Cade, to Stabs at the end of the season. I like to do that at the end of the season. Mm-hmm. And Leo and Kevin there, they sent out Jello shots that were purple and gold, and they had LSU fight song playing, and there's a lot of. It would have been a cute thing. Maybe if I can send it to you, you can put it in there one day. But it's a fun little video.
I would love to, man. A couple more minutes. Gordon McKernan's in studio with us. I think every time we get to talk to you, like it's really cool because whenever the NIL space came about, there was so much uncertainty and ambiguity about what would happen, right? About how it would go. And I think you're a great example of someone who's had fun with it,
right?
Whose business has benefited from it, but also had a way to benefit the student athletes as well. When I think this is what, when people envisioned NIL, this is I think what the idea was supposed to be.
I agree with you.
Have you given any more thought to moving forward? In what ways, like, you might still continue to participate?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely going to continue. It's part of my brand now, and I love supporting, particularly LSU, but other colleges around the state. And I do like giving back to the kids and giving them an opportunity, a platform. So we do have lots of fun with it. And I'm always trying to think of creative ways to involve them, and they seem to have a lot of fun with it. But I'm trying to refine it because sometimes it can get a little unwieldy. I mean, we probably had at one point almost 40 athletes last year. So it maybe narrowing the scope a little bit more. Cute story. Just this morning, I got a text from the head of the collective at UT. And he says, looks like we're down to
which UT?
University of Texas.
Okay.
Looks like it's down to you and I. I'm not going to name the guy. And he's like, it looks like it's down to you guys and us for this last one. And we've got a teammate, committed to us already. It's just fun to listen to the banner back and forth. And you got that guy from us, And so it's interesting. And I said, look, we don't have brown water in the ground, man. We can't spend what you guys spend. So we have to win. I said this. We have to win with our charm and our culture in a family. We can't win with money. And we're going to get you.
Next week will be a pretty big week.
Yeah,
Of course, I'm sure he's referring. I'm sure he's referring to Colin Simmons, who's the number one edge rusher in the country out of Duncanville, and it'll be a big day for Brian Kelly and the Tigers. You going to be down in Orlando?
I hope to.
Yeah,
I hope to.
What would prevent you from being in Orlando? Work, family, take you away?
My wife usually might say, let's go here and see this part of the world. We just spent a month in Italy with the family, and gathering and kind of kidnapping your kids so they can't get away from you for a while was a wonderful experience. And if you can ever do that, just grab your family, keep them close before they really separate in life. It's a great thing. But you said one thing, you said Duncan, but that brings me up to something. So I know you're a sneakerhead, right?
Yeah.
Well, I really wasn't a sneakerhead. There you go. But Jeff Watson in my office. There you go.
I got the Jordan 11s.
There you go.
The Cherry Reds.
I don't know if you know Jeff. Do you know Jeff Watson?
I know Jeff.
Yeah, he's not right. I mean, he's not right. Just mentally, he's just not there. There he is. But he has all these Jordans, and he has 80 pair of them now, right? And
I've almost caught him.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So he gifted me just out of nowhere with my first pair of Jordans. I'm wearing them right now. I don't like to wear them.
Yeah, you got to take one off and show the camera here.
So
can you pop one off?
Yeah, I can.
Flexible enough to get it done.
What do we call them? Air G1s or something, Jeff? Yeah.
Air Gordon ones.
Air Gordon ones. So you can.
I love them.
If you can see them right there. So that's them. And I'm like, well, what do I do with these?
Those are gorgeous, man.
Yeah, he says, well, you wear them, but you can't crease them. I mean, what do you mean you can't crease them?
Well, you got to get a crease protector.
I know, and he's yeah.
I'll show you. I got him in. Look, I'm gonna show you. Look,
he's teaching me all these things.
Did you get him crease protectors yet? Good. Okay, so look, man, you have the crease protector that goes in there that keeps the shoe formed with your foot in there. That's how you do it.
This is only like the third time to wear them. I wear them for literally put them on your parking lot, warm upstairs, I'll take them off again, and that's it.
Let me
Serious.
see. Those look awesome, man.
I get so nervous wearing them.
Oh no, man, you're doing fine with that for sure.
But at my my all attorney meeting this year, we had it a few months ago. So Brad Duncan with Duncan Custom Kicks, who's a good friend of Jeff's. I said, would he be able to handle an order, for all my attorneys and top management? It ended up being about 70, 80 shoes. So we shut him down for everybody else. He couldn't do anything for a couple of months, but we've been doing that. But, Jeff told me you were a sneakerhead, and I wanted to get you this. This is a,
Oh my God, look at the case.
I hadn't even seen them.
Wait, so you haven't looked at them yet?
I haven't looked at them. They were delivered to me today.
Come on, man. I'm part of the Air Gordon 1 team. Yeah. Look at this, man. So for those listening, not watching, it's a zipper case with the Jumpman logo and the 23 on it. Holy moly. Sincere. Oh, it's even got the AFR. So these are purple and gold with the old gold on it. It's got the G logo here.
Yeah.
It's got the AFR logo. It's got the AFR link chain on there as well. That is fine.
There you go.
Dude, he did an incredible job.
He does some great work.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
What this is like the gift of the century. I just had a birthday and my wife got me a pair of sneakers. Babe, you just got outdone by Gordon. I'm sorry. These are actually going on today. Well, no, I got to put my crease protectors in. Yeah. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, thank you.
That is so kind. Brad did an awesome job with these. Check that out. Oh my God. If you're not watching, you need to get to YouTube and watch this live right now. I don't know, Paul. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put them here.
There you go. That looks good.
We'll display them on the set. Purple laces and the white laces as well if you want to trade them out. I'm a full-on sneakerhead, man. Those are going on, those are definitely going on the set. How about that? Gordon McKernan, y'all follow at GetGordon on all the social media channels. That's awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Welcome.
Thank you for coming in. We appreciate the time as always. Yep. Gordon McKernan, it is after further review. We'll knock out a quick break. Muse will have Tigers and the Pros, and we wrap up hour number 2 next.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. You can always get to Rouse's.com. Rouse's.com. Tailgating coming up. Get by Rouse's. You got the Hall of Fame game tonight. You're going to head home. You want to pick up dinner for the whole family? You can do it at Rouse's. They got ready-made-to-order meals already. The hot and boiled kiosk for your seafood. You want some sushi? They got it. Grab and go. Whatever you want, it's right there at Rouse's. When you get to the website, at the top of the page, you'll see where it says weekly ad. You can tap that and you can see every weekly special that's updated every week. It's the ads that'll be on all the social media, paper, everywhere, all the different places. So if you're interested, check out the weekly ads tab on the website or on the Rouse's app. Remember, the Rouse's app, great option right there. If you want curbside delivery or a delivery option at home, you can do it. Your personal shopper will pick up your items and bring it out to your car. Just download the Rouse's app today. Rouse's.com. Rouse's. This feels like home.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. A justice of the peace in East Baton Rouge Parish jailed for abusing his family, released from jail after entering guilty pleas in court. Moses Evans received credit for time served after being locked away for nearly 5 years. Today, we sat down with him as he fights to try to see his family he abused again. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Water.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
Did you see my custom sneaks? Did you see them?
I still see them. You have them on the set there.
Do you know how much these cases cost?
I would say the bags look really cool.
You can't even get those anymore. I was like, where did you get it? He goes, well, we found some. We just bought them all to get we could find to give.
That's a smart move.
That's incredible, man. Instead of being in a shoe box, they're in these Jordan cases, which are incredible. And like, so you can put like a business card on the side. So you put it's your ID on the side of it. So anyway, I'm pretty excited. You just do Tigers in the Pros while I just gush over my shoes.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
Dylan Cruz made his professional debut today.
Hey!
Yeah,
Come on.
The Nationals put him in the rookie league, which just feels really unfair.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Turns out it was Dylan Cruz in his first professional baseball game, 3 for 3 with a double and 3 runs scored. Our boy's hitting 1,000 at the top of the order.
What did they
Call
do?
him up to single A or double A or something. What are we doing here?
Is there a possibility that he's like a September call-up?
Maybe. I don't know. The Nationals stink.
That's my point.
Okay, yeah, just get him some. I don't think you risk it unless you're playing for something.
Risk what?
Him getting hurt.
What?
I don't know.
Mute.
I don't know.
Risk it?
I don't know. Yeah.
No risk
maybe.
it, no biscuit. You
no
know what
risk
they
it,
say.
no biscuit. That's true.
I don't even know why they say that, but they do.
Jacob Berry staying hot.
Jacob Berry.
2 for 5 last night with a double.
I'm sorry.
1 RBI and 2 runs scored there for our guy Jacob Berry. I agree. Didn't need the call up. 265 now in double A.
It's counterintuitive to some. Because, like, well, if you're struggling in A ball, why would you call it to double A? Well, because sometimes you just need to be challenged. It's like you're lingering down in single A with dudes that are never going to play. And it's just, like, what am I doing here? Like, challenge him. Get him to lock in. He's terrible. What's he batting right now?
265.
I mean, that's since the call-up?
That's since the call-up.
And from single A where he was scuffling in single A. It's like, bro, get this guy challenged. Get him going. That's awesome.
Kevin Gausman was on the bump earlier today for the Toronto Blue Jays. The Orioles got his pitch count up fast. Just 4 1/3 for Gausman. Threw 103 pitches. Gave up 3 earned, but did strike out 6. He is, unfortunately, on the hook for the loss. That game is in the top of the 9th inning currently. Josh Smith got the start in the lineup. at shortstop today for the Texas Rangers. Yeah, 1 for 2 in the game. It was a double, his 5th of the year. Also drove in a run, and then was lifted a little bit later on in the ball game. And finally, we wrap up with some NBA news. Trendon Watford has a new home. Brooklyn Nets signed the free agent. Spent 2 seasons in Portland, averaged 7 points and 4 rebounds over the course of that. Now will be a member of the Brooklyn Nets with Ben Simmons and Cam Thomas.
LSU takeover in
Yeah,
Brooklyn. That's 3 former Tigers there.
That's Tigers in the pros.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, LMFJ.com. LMFJ.com. We're talking about custom sneakers. If you want a custom piece of jewelry, Lee Michaels can do it for you. Gentlemen, thrill her with a gift in the red box from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Online at LMFJ.com, LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge and all of Louisiana has gone to get engaged for more than 30 years. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, locations at 2 locations in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Lafayette, and Shreveport, and online at LMFJ.com, LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Okay. We were scheduled to have Chris Doering right after the top of the hour. We worked to confirm today. We booked it yesterday. He hadn't confirmed today, so we'll give him a shout, see if he answers the phone. If not, we'll just circle back and reset LSU camp, which I'm going to do next hour anyway. I was out at day 1 of LSU fall camp. I'll tell you everything I saw. We hit a lot of your questions. So if you've got a question, email it, tweet me, or text me, 225-396-4400. Hour 3 of AFR is next.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com with more than 30 offices across 11 different states. If you weigh or measure something, Michelli sells, services, rents the products you use to weigh and measure. They do offer ISO 17025 accreditation as well. If you know what that is, you know why it is so important. Remember, Michelli also offers their track system. This is a totally free service. It's an acronym for track assets and calibrations. This will make you more efficient. Imagine like the importance of traceability. So, for example, let's say there's a recall. Well, you have proof of that. If it automatically notifies you when your calibration is complete or when a device is due for calibration. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com, Michelli.com. They say we show the world what measurement can do. Go to Michelli.com. There's a wealth of info there. Tell you all the different industries they serve and all the services they provide. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. ESPN's Pete Thamel is reporting the Big Ten will at least explore adding Oregon and Washington to the conference. The Big Ten is already absorbing 2 Pac-12 teams, USC and UCLA, starting next year. The NFL preseason kicks off tonight with the Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio. The Jets featuring new quarterback Aaron Rodgers against the Browns and Deshaun Watson in his first full season as the Cleveland starter. ESPN's Damian Woody.
Pressure is clearly Aaron Rodgers, right? Because obviously when you make that type of move, what's the signal that you're sending as an organization is we're ready. We're ready to compete with the Kansas City, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Buffalo Bills to try to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl.
Damian Woody, the Titans cut offensive lineman Jamarco Jones today after his second altercation of the week on the practice field. Baseball finals today. Max Scherzer wins his debut with the Rangers. Texas beats the White Sox 5-3. Scherzer goes 6 innings, allowing 7 hits and 3 runs.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at Progressive.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride!
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Yes, so. And Mr. Toby Tom Play. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. A day one of LSU football practice. Fall camp in the books. Media got to watch about 2 hours worth. We were only allowed about 15 minutes worth of photo and video opportunities, but we're invited to stay the rest of the practice to watch. They started inside. We got to see about 30 minutes inside. Then they went outside, which was the bulk of the time that we were out there. We did get to see a lot of individual drills, basically position grouping drills. We got to watch a good bit of 7-on-7 outside and inside. We got to watch corners and wide receivers go one-on-one. It was a heck of a day for the wide receivers and a forgettable day for the defensive backs in the one-on-ones and in the 7-on-7s. Usually the defense, as they say, is ahead of the offense, but today was a total 180, and it makes sense. Look at all of the offensive production that LSU returns. You know, every year ESPN does that college football returning production metric where they look at how much of just your literal returning production on both sides of the ball, and in those S&P Plus rankings, and LSU's in the top 10 in the country because they return the lion's share of their offense back with Jaden Daniels and basically all of your top receivers except for Kayshon Boutte and Jure Jenkins, but you have 8 running backs, 5 of whom were contributors for you a year ago. The real challenge is defensively, you replace almost everyone. Jaquelin Roy is gone. B.J. Ojulari is gone. Ali Gay is gone. Micah Baskerville is gone. Jarek Bernard-Converse, Mekhi Garner, Joe Fouché. You're losing basically all of your defensive production. So you would expect that at the start of this season, given how much LSU returns offensively, a fifth-year starter at quarterback, some really talented receivers, second year in this offense, and then all of the new guys defensively, that the offense would be ahead, and boy, were they today. Here was Brian Kelly when he met with reporters after practice on the first day of camp.
Good work today. I thought, the realistic expectation is that there's a number of veterans back here that, they're able to, recognize and understand the way to prepare in relative terms practice, right? The way I wanted practice to go last year at this time, we were teaching them how to practice. So, there should be that expectation that, you come into practice one that guys know how to do the things that you expect to prepare the right way. And I think by and large that happened today. And then there's some young guys that are trying to figure it out.
I want to focus, if I could, on one position group on each side of the ball that starting this fall camp, I think we all looked at to say, okay, that's going to be a question. On the offensive side, it's at running back. Like, we know Jaden Daniels is your starting quarterback. We know your starting offensive line. We saw it today, left to right. It was Will Campbell at left tackle, as we knew. Miles Frazier was at left guard. Charles Turner at center. Garrett Dellinger at right guard. And then you had Emory Jones, of course, at right tackle. And let me check just to make sure I didn't flip the I'm sorry, forgive me. Garrett Dellinger was at left guard. Miles Frazier was at right guard. I thought I flipped him, so I flipped the guards. My apologies. So you know who your starting offensive linemen are going to be. Jaden Daniels is your quarterback. We know who your first 3 receivers are. It's Malik Neighbors. It's Brian Thomas. It's Kyron Lacey. We know Mason Taylor is your starting tight end. We know. The question is how the running back reps are going to be divvied up. And whenever they were doing running back drills initially, we saw Josh Williams and Armani Goodwin go first. And then it was Noah Cain and Trey Bradford. Logan Diggs and Trey Bradford. And then it was Noah Cain and Trey Holly. So my point is, it was a little everybody had a turn. When they went to 7-on-7s, when they went to quarterback running back drills, when they were working on, out of the pistol and handoffs, Noah Cain took the first rep, which was interesting. And then Josh Williams took the second rep. And then it was Armani Goodwin, and then Trey Bradford. So no Logan Diggs went 5th. Then they went outside, and they were doing 7-on-7s, and Josh Williams was your first running back. I guess my point is, when you looked at the running backs, there wasn't a lot of rhyme or reason or set rotation. I really feel like they're figuring out how those reps are ultimately going to be divvied up. Brian Kelly talking about running back, though, today. Let's start. First of all, if we could start with John Emery. Number 11, John Emery was not there. Brian Kelly explained why.
He had to finish up an internship today. Final. He's in great shape. Thanks for asking the question. He has done everything. He has been fabulous to work with. We're proud of his accomplishments, and he'll be with us tomorrow. But he had to get an internship finished up today, finish that paperwork, get that turned into the registrar's office. And instead of rushing out here, with his shoes untied and kind of running on the field, we just said, take care of it. You've gone this far and worked this hard. Get that taken care of, and that's what he's doing today.
So John Emery will be back out there tomorrow or on Friday. It was the first day of practice for Logan Diggs, the Notre Dame transfer, being out there. He's wearing number 3. Here was Brian Kelly on his former Notre Dame running back, now LSU running back Logan Diggs.
He's a guy that I know very well, and I know what he's capable of. He's very smooth. He's physical. He's got a great burst. And his ability to stay on the field on all 3 downs. He knows protections. He can catch the ball coming out of the backfield. So, I know him really well. He looked good. The question with him was his health. He had a hamstring that we had to work through most of the summer, which limited him, but he looked healthy. And that was really the biggest thing for me, to see that he was healthy today. And he looked good. He felt good. and he just adds to the depth of that room, which is going to be as complete and as deep as any running back room that I've ever coached.
As complete or deep as the running back room that I've ever coached. And they have if you include the 2 freshmen and Trey Bradford coming back and John Emery, they've got 8 running backs. And I'm telling you, there was no real set order or anything that was decipherable or discernible today. If I had to bet money today, first play of the season, who's in at running back, I'm betting Josh Williams. I couldn't tell you that he's going to take the most carries in the game against Florida State or be your leading rusher by the end of the season. So it may be a week-to-week thing where they look at who has the hot hand. The best evidence I can give you is when you go back and you look at 2011. Go back and look at 2011 LSU and how they divvied up the carries and the production with that team in 2011, where you had this glut of talent at running back. And remember, that was a year where you ended up not even having Jeremy Hill available for you. He had his off the field issue, but should have been part of that team as well. So when you look at Spencer Ware and Michael Ford and Terrence McGee, and then Kenny Hilliard emerged late. And of course, Jordan Jefferson was your running back that year as well. It was, here's the rushing stats from that season. Spencer Ware had 177 attempts. Ford had 127. Blue had 78. Jordan Jefferson had 75. Kenny Hilliard had 62. Terrence McGee had 27. I mean, that's 5 running backs and your quarterback that played a key role. Like, I think the freshmen this year at LSU probably don't have a really impactful role. So that's maybe where you can cut that line. And then which of the veterans might see their reps limited? Is it Trey Bradford? Is it Armani Goodwin? I think the given that we know, and Noah Kane I think Josh Williams is going to play a lot. John Emery's going to have his role for sure. And you didn't bring Logan Diggs in here to sit. So I think those 3 are a sure thing, as you could find who else factors in offensively is going to be interesting. I mentioned there was a position group on each side of the ball I wanted to talk about. That's the running backs on offense. The other is the defensive backfield. And Brian Kelly talked about that as well after practice. Let me do this so I stay on time. I want to knock out a break. We'll come back, and I'll get back to what Brian Kelly had to say, and in particular, the defensive backfield and how they looked today, which was not great, but the progress that they're looking to make in fall camp. We'll talk a little bit about that when we come back. Get your questions in. If there's a player, position group, something you're interested in, fire away. You could tweet me at Matt Moscona. You could jump in the Body Ford YouTube chat, or you can text 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. I'll get to all of the questions that you may have as we continue here on AFR.
AFR.
When Erica and I got married and we bought our first home, we called Darren James. When Drew came along and we needed a little more home and we had to sell that first home and buy a second one, we called Darren James. If there's ever a point in my life again where we sell the home we're in and have to find somewhere new, the only call I'm going to make is to Darren James. When I tell you every day about Darren James, I'm not telling you to call someone that I wouldn't personally call or wouldn't personally use. Darren is my realtor and will forever be my realtor, because there's nobody that works harder to get your home sold faster for more money. There's nobody who will pay attention to detail. I've been on the phone with Darren James at 11 o'clock at night, literally at 11 o'clock at night, where he's at one of his clients' listings changing a light bulb for the next morning showing or something like that. He's an incredible worker, and there's a reason he's on the Wall Street Journal's list of the top 1,000 realtors in America. If you need to sell your home, you need Darren James. Agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,500 off MSRP on all new 23 Ram 1500 Laramie trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
We'll pull a little bit of an audible here. In the next segment, we'll come back and talk about LSU's secondary today in the first day of fall camp. But we've got our guy Chris Doering, former Gator great, of course, now at the SEC Network. Good to spend a couple of minutes with us. CD, how are you, man?
Matty, I'm good, man. Sorry, lots of travel here today, so I apologize for messing up your schedule, bro.
Bro, you're never messing up my schedule. When we get 10 minutes with you, I'm pumped for it. Hey, what camp for you, as all camps in the SEC get underway, which one do you think is going to reveal the most interesting questions or answers throughout the next 3 weeks?
Yeah, I'm kind of intrigued by Texas A&M, and I think you would probably agree with me, having been in Nashville, that there was this attitude that started to change a little bit, or maybe come to light a little bit more, that Texas A&M actually has a chance to be kind of good. You know, I think that the storyline all offseason has been the Bobby Petrino addition and how that's going to work with play calling and Jimbo Fisher giving up the reins of the offense. But in all honesty, you know, you look around, you feel good about the way Connor Wegman finished the season last year. They've got a really talented group of wide receivers. I don't know if you had a chance to talk to Anaya Smith there in Nashville, but I'm a big fan of his, and he has this kind of sense of urgency about him after returning from that injury that has to, you know, permeate throughout the rest of the team. You know, I think about some of the struggles they had defensively last year due to youth and inexperience in their front seven. That should be better this year. So, you know, as overhyped as they've been the last 2 years, I feel like they're, you know, almost as underhyped this year. And I think during camp, we'll get an idea of how that dynamic's working with Petrino and Fisher, and maybe the progression of this team from where they ended last season.
This can be a yes or no. Connor Wegman, he's the guy in College Station?
I don't know an answer. I mean,
Yeah,
I
sure.
assume it's Connor Wegman, but you guys know more than I do about Max Johnson. I mean, this is the guy that's played a lot of football in this conference, an interesting landing spot, choosing to go to College Station, but it gives you a good option in case Wegman's not, and you know, I think time will tell. I do trust Bobby Petrino. Say what you want about, you know, his play calling. Say what you want about him being a head coach. he knows how to coach the quarterback position, and I think he'll get the best out of both those guys.
Chris Doering is with us. Speaking of quarterbacks, I saw at Auburn today, Peyton Thorne, the Michigan State transfer, took the first rep. Robbie Ashford went third. What do you make of what Hugh Freeze is doing there day one under center?
It's interesting, right? I mean, you would think the incumbent might have the first opportunity, but again, none of these guys, particularly that were on the roster, were tied to Hugh Freeze and his coaching staff. They went out and got Peyton Thorne specifically. Now, I'm not blown away by what he did at Michigan State. Perhaps, there's something different in store for him in this new offense under the guidance of Hugh Freeze and Philip Montgomery, who I'm a big fan of. But at the end of the day, having been there for the spring game, it didn't sound like they were real pleased with any of the quarterbacks that were on the roster. So maybe this is a way of trying to motivate Robbie Ashford. You would think with the mobility that he brings that this is a good fit for the offense that Hugh Freeze has traditionally run, and the fact that they may need him to create plays out of nowhere, given how limited I think their offense is going to be from a personnel standpoint.
Is when you look at LSU, bring it home, I'll talk about some of the East teams here in just a second, but we were out there today, CD, and I'm going to tell you, man, if there was one gigantic takeaway, LSU's receivers overwhelmed the secondary in every drill we saw. Do you feel like there's always the question, right? Is that because the receivers are really good, or is the defense a giant question mark, right? Like that's always the conundrum when you're good on good. It's like, so should I be excited about the receivers or worried about the DBs? What do you think?
I think the receivers are really, really good, and I've been speaking the praise about Malik Neighbors all off season. I was really impressed with the way that he finished that season, having been down on the sideline for the Citrus Bowl game against Purdue, and the way that they used him in so many different creative ways in that game served as a little bit of foreshadowing, I think, for what we're going to see this year. Really excited about him, but that entire group is really good. Seem to be really athletic. Seem to have a lot of length as well. Like I'm grateful that I never played the corner position, because there are so many disadvantages, including the rules that are slanted towards the offense having success. The fact that you're playing with your back and eyes turned to the ball for most of the time. The fact that you're backpedaling, it's really challenging. But I do think that it's probably more of a result of just how good LSU's receivers are as a whole, as opposed to maybe that secondary being a deficiency this year.
That's going to be a huge storyline to watch as LSU moves through fall camp. Hey, we were sitting in studio here. I can't remember, CD, if it was Monday or Tuesday this week, and we had SEC Network on, and they were flashing up your quarterback rankings for the year. And I'm not so much interested in like the 1 through 5 or whatever. I'm more interested in your feeling on the group, because there's a gigantic amount of unknowns with the quarterback group. And I've said, CD, I think this is the weakest quarterback year in the league since 2014. Are you optimistic about this group as a whole, given the amount of talent that just left this conference at that position?
I think first and foremost, the dynamic is interesting, because a lot of years it seems like we got a lot of returning experienced guys, and then other years like everybody's replacing their starter. This year it's a good mix. It's like half and half, with experienced quarterbacks returning and other guys trying to figure out who the quarterback's going to be this year. I think it's also interesting to note that every year is different in and of itself. And, we're ranking these quarterbacks about how we feel about them versus each other. But I think you're right. If we do go back and compare them to last year or 2 years ago, there's a pretty significant drop-off. Also, some of it has to do with projecting what we expect. I mean, Joe Milton was my number 4 quarterback heading into the year, and I'm projecting that with very little proof that that's the case. A lot of it having to do with the success Hendon Hooker had and what the offense does in general for quarterback success in Knoxville. So, yeah, I think that's an interesting point, and I would probably agree with you. I haven't really thought about it much, but I do think that that's probably the case. And some of these guys, KJ Jefferson is a guy that I like an awful lot. He's been a great leader for that Arkansas team. But if he's in that mix last year, do we even have him in the top 5? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great point. So go to the East then for a second, because I'm looking at your list. So you went Daniels, Rodgers, Jefferson, Milton Leary. You don't have Carson Beck from Georgia. I know I talked to Aaron Murray at Media Days, and he's bullish, if you'll forgive the pun, on Carson Beck. I don't know anything about him other than, just the little clip you see here or there. Is that a guy that just takes the baton and keeps sprinting in Athens?
Yeah, you know what's funny? I think about the Alabama quarterback situation. Like, we have no idea who's going to be the guy out of those three. We also have a new offensive coordinator there in Tommy Rees. The same kind of is true. I guess we're assuming Carson Beck's going to win that job, but they're replacing a starter that's been very successful, much like the situation was with Bryce Young in Tuscaloosa. They have a new offensive coordinator, and yet I don't hold it against Georgia the same way that I hold it against Alabama. And I think a lot of that has to do with the surrounding pieces outside of the quarterback position. Feel really good about the offensive line. They're the best in the conference. Feel really good about the receivers. This is by far the best group of pass catchers that they've had in Athens in a long time when you factor in the receivers in addition to what the tight ends bring to the table. And then the running backs are amongst the most talented in the recruiting classes they've come in at. We always expect Georgia to be able to run the football. So I do think that we're assuming that it's more of a take the baton and run with it. But I also mentioned the other day, like, the reason Stetson Bennett ended up getting this job is because there were a group of highly recruited quarterbacks that came in and didn't get the job done. So I do think maybe we're being a little bit naive and thinking that there's not going to be any sort of hiccups transitioning from Stetson Bennett to Carson Beck, but I do think the talent around will help minimize those hiccups.
Oh, I'm with you, dude. And especially when you look at Monken leaving Athens as well. I mean, he was always the magic unlock. That's what Georgia people would always say, was he was the magic unlock, the final piece of the puzzle. Now he's gone in, Stetson Bennett. I'm with you. I think it's naive to think that there's not any transitional piece. Chris Doering's with us. Hey, last thing. I saw where Scott Strickland, the Florida AD, he was talking about the plans to renovate the swamp, right? I'm sure you've seen that. But I also saw where he did an interview where part of what was being discussed, and he said he acknowledged that this isn't likely, but they're considering the possibility of building a new football stadium in Gainesville. Open-ended thoughts.
I hate it. I mean, I don't imagine that that's true. I mean, there is a limited amount of real estate in Gainesville, so much so that I don't know if you've been back down here at all, Maddie, but the baseball stadium that used to be adjacent to the O'Connell Center and Florida Field has now moved way over on the other side of campus. Now, I love it. Florida Ballpark is amazing, and it's done wonders for bringing fans out to the ballpark. But there's just a limited amount of space on campus. So that seems hard to believe that they'd find a footprint to be able to build something new. And secondly, like, I love the swamp. I love what it stands for. I love my experiences there as not only a player, but as a kid growing up. I couldn't imagine it being anywhere else. It's right on University Avenue, right across from all the frats. I mean, the placement is perfect. So I do think there'll be some significant renovations that take place. It's definitely a little dated, but the personality of that stadium, you don't want to get rid of that. You've been there before. The walking in and going below the ground level, what that does to create heat and humidity and no breeze down there. The fact that it's vertical on the stands, like 5 yards behind the benches, it keeps the noise in there well. Like, find a way to change what you got. I can't imagine they'd want to lose that home field advantage by building something different.
Yeah. Hey, man, the thing we talked about here is they tore down Yankee Stadium, bro.
True.
I mean, if they tore down Yankee Stadium, they'll tear down any damn thing. I'm with.
Well, what's that about too, right? It's all about money, man. Creating more revenue. So, in this day and age where we're talking so much realignment due to revenue, maybe who knows? Can't put anything past them.
Hey, look, they built a new Alec Box Stadium for the national champs as well. CD, come on down, bring your jerseys.
Hey, I'm hoping that I do have some nice jerseys to wear, and I've certainly got some good use out of that. But I'm hoping. Do we have Florida and LSU on the schedule next year in the regular season?
Is it? No, it's. Let me see. Wait, hang on. It is. Okay. Oh, that's right. LSU's losing Auburn and Mississippi State. So yes, LSU Florida is on the schedule for 24. Yes.
We'll have to determine if I've never been to a baseball game in the box, so I would love to come out there and watch Florida play against LSU in that stadium. I've heard so much about it. I love.
Oh, you're talking baseball?
Oh no, I'm talking about baseball.
Oh
yeah,
no, we don't know. No, they haven't announced the schedule yet.
Okay, all right. I'm talking about baseball. Yeah, no, I know we got you guys on the schedule there in 24, but I'm a fan of like going to great venues and great environments, and I've always wanted to come watch an LSU baseball game. So I'd love to see Florida play in Baton Rouge there in baseball.
If that's happening, if that's on the schedule in BR next year, we got you covered. So just come on.
Yeah, let's do it, man. That sounds fun.
All right, CD, you're the best, man. We appreciate a couple minutes.
See you, all right, buddy.
Be well. Chris Doering, former, of course, Gator great, does awesome work with the SEC Network. You hear Doering a lot of weekday mornings on SEC This Morning with Peter Burns and a great cast over there. So we appreciate CD for a couple minutes. All right, let me remind you about Relief Windows, reliefwindows.com. Slow down. Don't get ahead of yourself. Energy-efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank, vinyl siding. They do it all over at Relief Windows. It is presently at 5:29 p.m. Central Time, air temperature in Baton Rouge, 100 degrees. The air temperature in Baton Rouge. That's not heat index. It is 100 degrees right now in Baton Rouge. You know your AC is going to work overtime. How do you lower your energy bills? You make your home more energy efficient. How do you do that? Energy efficient windows from Relief Windows. Call, ask about them, or schedule an appointment, or just walk into their showroom. On Airline Highway in Prairieville, if you're going south on Airline, you pass Highway 42, it's a quarter mile on the right. Can't miss it. It's Relief Windows. Just walk in. They always have associates ready to help you answer any questions. You can actually see, touch, feel, open the windows, feel, touch, open the doors, see the hardy plank and vinyl siding, pick your color. It's all there at the Relief Windows showroom. Energy-efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank and vinyl siding. They do it all over at Relief Windows. Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. All right, y'all. Otter is back. How about it? Otter locks today. We'll see if our boy is refreshed at all from his time at Del Mar and if he's ready to sling some winners. We got NFL football tonight. You got the Hall of Fame game, so we'll see if the Otters got to play on MLB or the Hall of Fame game tonight. If I'm not mistaken, NFL preseason games, usually you bet the under, right? Isn't that pretty customary with preseason games in the NFL?
Especially the Hall of Fame game, too.
Okay.
Although it went over last year on a garbage time touchdown.
Okay. And we get Kellen Mond against Zach Wilson tonight.
And that's probably only for, a quarter? And then they're just going to throw the third-string guys out there?
I don't know who else is.
That's true.
Well, I can't sit here and tell you I know a tremendous amount about the Browns' depth at quarterback behind Kellen Mond.
I hope Nathaniel Hackett's focused. He's been a little out there tonight. He's got to call some plays, Matt.
Broke the code, man. He broke the coaching code. Shut up, loser. All right. Thanks to Chris Doering. Let me knock out a break. We'll come back, and I'll reset where we were. If you're here at the top of the hour, I said there were two position groups from day one of LSU Fall Camp I wanted to talk about. Talked about the running backs. When we come back, let me flip it. I want to talk about the defensive backs. They had a tough day, and Brian Kelly talked about it after practice. We'll get to that next on AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. Honest to goodness, true story. The air is out in our third floor studio here right now. Honestly, the AC is out. Our engineer, Bo Wegman, today called River Cities, and they had someone come out today to check on our system, and it's being fixed tomorrow. River City's 1 Hour Air, 752-0001, 752-0001. Tell you every day where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. You see them all over because your friends and neighbors trust River City's 1 Hour Air just like I do and like I have for years. The thing that I would highly recommend to you is that when they talk to you and ask you about the membership club, do it. It's so worth it. You get your seasonal maintenance is complimentary. You get front-of-the-line service, and you get a membership pricing when you do need a repair. It's River City's 1 Hour Air, 752-0001.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
This summer, retirement is a state of mind. Whether it's a mid-morning activity or an early bird special, grab a Coors Light and chill like you're retired.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Otter have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Otter MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco, voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
I don't really like to set a depth chart the first, 6 practices. I like to let the guys kind of go out there that we're starting, and then let's see how this competition takes care of itself. But I think there could be potential battles on that offensive line.
Brian Kelly, after practice on Thursday, day one, speaking of the offensive line, was a question from Nathan who said, do you think right guard or right tackle could be battle spots throughout camp? I don't. I think the only spot where a starting job could be up for grabs on that offensive line is at center. Marlon Martinez played a lot last season, late in the year. Charles Turner is back and played well. But Martinez potentially beating out Turner, I think, is the spot you look at. When you look at your second offensive line unit, from left to right, you went Kimo Macanaioli at left tackle. You had Mason Lunsford, the Maryland transfer, left guard. Martinez at center. You had Bo Bordelon at right guard. And then you had the freshman Lance Hurd at right tackle. I think the only spot that's potential, a starting spot that's up for grabs, is at center. I think Dellinger and Frazier are your guards. Campbell and Jones are your tackles. Can Martinez beat out Charles Turner at center? I think that's really if there is a position battle on the offensive line, I think that's it. Jim Allen said, Matt, I may have missed it. Are we still working with the same special teams coordinator? No, remember, last year that was Brian Polian. He moved into an off-field job and then took the athletic director job at his alma mater, so he's no longer on staff. They moved John Jancic from an analyst role on field as the Jack linebackers position coach and the special teams coordinator. Well, with Jimmy Lindsey, the defensive line coach, taking a medical leave, Jancic has moved to coaching defensive line, and Bob Diaco, who was a defensive analyst and special teams analyst, has moved onto the field to coach Jack linebackers. I'm going to tell y'all, Bob Diaco, and there was a point where early in the practice, like all of the media was watching the offense, and I get why. I mean, you're watching the quarterbacks and the receivers. The ball's flying. There's not a lot that you're going to notice watching linebackers do drills where they're like trying to stay low, or ends are hitting arm pads and tackling dummies. But I wanted to go see Bob Diaco and John Jancic work with their group. So Bob Diaco is a maniac. I mean, and I say that in a very complimentary way. I mean, he has maniacal energy. I don't know how that guy could possibly not coach on the field. You know, being an analyst, you can't coach on the field. He's only coaching on the field now because of Jimmy Lindsey's illness or medical situation. But man, oh man, Bob Diaco was out there in full force. I mean, he is full on energy. He was doing all of the drills with the jack linebackers. I mean, he's hitting the pads and running upfield and yelling. And, I mean, he is just a where's Bob Diaco from? Do we know where Bob Diaco is from? Like, I'm guessing he's from the Northeast somewhere. Like, he was like a New York Italian. He's from New Jersey. He's from Cedar Grove. Of course he is. He's from Cedar Grove, New Jersey. He's a Jersey Italian dude that just screams Jersey Italian dude. And I mean that in a very complimentary way. I mean, just, bro, he is loud. He is energy. He is unmistakable on the field. Also unmistakable on the field today, LSU's defensive backs had a really rough day. And I think that's probably to be expected. A couple of reasons. You're turning over your whole secondary. You lose Jark Bernard-Converse, Mekhi Garner, Cody Dickerson, a.k.a. Colby Richardson. I'd have to clarify because there's still some people who are going to be like, oh, you said it wrong. Joe Fouche's gone. I mean, you lost guys to transfer. I mean, you've got 4 transfer cornerbacks in. Andre Sam, a transfer safety who was a late add, who was running with the ones today. You brought in some freshmen who you're excited about. You got the redshirt guys to see. You guys like Jordan Allen, see if they maybe take a step this year. Javian Toviano, they like him a lot. But I'll tell you what, they have an unenviable task because LSU's receivers might be the deepest position on the team right now. They are, and today when we got to watch the corners and the receivers do one-on-one drills, I don't know that there was a single time where a defensive back made a play. That's not hyperbole. I think the only time where a ball wasn't caught was maybe on an errant pass. And when I tell you the receivers weren't just winning, it was almost not competitive. And it wasn't just like Kyron Lacey's great and Malik Neighbors is an All-American and Brian Thomas is a big dude that's a junior. Like, they couldn't guard Chris Hilton. They couldn't guard Aaron Anderson. We saw Kai Preon. We saw Shelton Sampson. Maybe the play of the day, and I'm not just saying this because he's a Catholic High guy, but in the one-on-one drills, Shelton Sampson ran a go route down the left sideline being covered by Denver Harris, and Shelton Sampson dusted Denver Harris by like 5 yards. It was everybody. The tight ends, all of them. So all that to say, and everybody noticed it. Like, if you were standing there at practice when they did that drill, it was impossible to mistake what you saw. So Brian Kelly was asked about it, about the one-on-one drills and what the focus is there for the cornerbacks.
You know, we talked to the defensive backs about the deficit that they have in this particular drill so they don't get frustrated because there is no pass rush. There is no clock. They're playing man-to-man on a field that's 53 1/3 by 120. They have the whole field, and the receiver can do whatever he wants out there. So it's so important that they understand that the drill is really about their technique. It's not about a winner or a loser in that drill. So it's so important that technique is at the front of their mindset when they go into that drill. So we're really looking at that more than anything else.
I went back, and it's great to hear. And I believe him. Why wouldn't you? But it's also unmistakable what you saw. They did a drill in last year's camp. I'm sure we'll get to see him do it again. It's the same drill. It's receivers and cornerbacks one-on-one, but they did it inside the 10-yard line. And the reason that's important is because of what Brian Kelly just said. It shrinks the field. You don't have, a 100-yard long field and 53 yards wide. It's all compressed. So it is more about quick twitch, athleticism. Can you get a PBU? And a year ago, that was a more competitive drill. And the secondary had really good days. And that was one of those drills I remember watching thinking, man, this unit might be pretty good. And remember, going into last year, we were talking about having Kayshon Boutte back and Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas and Chris Hilton and you had Jeray Jenkins. I mean, you had dudes last year at receiver that you knew were going to be awesome. And it was more split. So I'll look forward to seeing that. Again, I'm not overreacting to one day. I'm just telling you, on this day, and not just in that drill, but when we went outside and got to watch them 7-on-7s, where you didn't have a pass rush, but you had linebackers in the middle of the field, like you had tight ends, like it was different. The offense still dominated. I'm talking all three offenses. It didn't matter if it was Jaden with the 1s or Garrett with the 2s or Ricky Collins with the 3s. They all dominated. One more. I got a little bit of time. One more. Can we play number 5, please? Because we talk a lot about tight ends because Brian Kelly is he recruits and develops tight ends. And Mason Taylor had a great year last year, and they have three freshman tight ends behind Mason Taylor. And we saw them all today. Mac Markway, who is the most physically versatile guy, meaning he is 6'4", 250, and he is built out of granite. He is thick, but he's athletic enough to go catch the ball as well. Kamarian Pimpton is 6'6", and he's got pterodactyl arms. Like, he is just, you could see why his catch radius is going to be so big because he's just a mismatch, but he's also thinner. And the one that actually was taking the first reps among the pass-catching tight ends was Jackson McGowan. Behind Mason Taylor was Jackson McGowan. He's wearing number 83. So all three of those guys look different, have different skill sets, but all three can be involved in this offense. Here was Brian Kelly about the young guys kind of complimenting Mason Taylor.
Pimpton out there, he's a big body guy that has soft hands, was my first, glimpse at him out there. And, he's certainly, if you watch tempo, he had a hard time getting lined up. But that's on us. We got to figure out how to get him lined up, maybe just put him in one position and go, because he certainly has the tools. And that's kind of what we thought. And he's much bigger. He's up to about 245 pounds already. When he got onto campus, he was, I think, 222. So he's done a great job of taking care of himself and doing the right things in nutrition. And Markway's moving much better. He's leaned up, much more agile, because he's a big body guy that can help us. We've really built the depth there at the tight end position that we needed around Taylor. So I think it's going to be a good group.
They have depth. They are young. I mean, you have a true sophomore in Mason Taylor and 3 true freshmen. But all 3 of those freshmen look really good at that position, man. LSU is certainly building a herd of good tight ends there. Okay, it's after further review. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up with a little Otter locks and what we learned. Jimmy's back and glad to have him. That's next. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Pluckers, Nicholson, and Bluebonnet. Dine-in, carry-out, or delivery with 28 flavors of award-winning jumbo chicken wings, ice-cold draft beer, full-service bar, sports on TV. My goodness, why would you go anywhere else? You've got the Hall of Fame game tonight. You've waited ever since February for football to be back, and tonight, I know it's preseason, I know it's the Hall of Fame game, but it's the Jets and the Browns, and you're going to have professional athletes that are getting paid to play football, wearing NFL uniforms, playing in a game for 4 quarters tonight, and it's going to be on TV. So if you need a place to watch, get by Pluckers. Get your weekend started early. Remember, every Thursday is all-you-can-eat boneless buffalo bites. It's white meat chicken breaded, fried, tossed in your favorite wing sauce, and you can eat as many of them as you want all Thursday night long for one low price. That's every Thursday, all-you-can-eat boneless buffalo bites at Pluckers. Nicholson, just south of campus. Bluebonnet, right in front of the Mall of Louisiana. Dine-in, carry-out, or delivery. Remember, at Pluckers, if you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
All right, down the stretch we come. Final segment here on a Thursday edition of AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. It has been a minute, but we have one thing left to do. It's time to find out what we're betting on tonight. Back from Del Mar, I think. It's time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
So we turn to the one and only, the incomparable and often incomprehensible, the Ott father himself, Jimmy Ott. Otter! How are the ponies? How was Del Mar?
Hey, Matthew. How you doing, buddy?
You know what?
Great.
Just been working. Somebody's got to be back here holding down the fort while T-Bob goes to Cali, Otter goes to Del Mar, Hanny's at the beach, the Hesters went to the beach, Hunt went to the beach. You know, somebody's got to stay here and work. Somebody got to make sure this thing don't burn down. Somebody's got to make sure we keep the lights on. AC's broken in the studio, though.
I'm not coming back till we get a football game. So there you go. We got a game
tonight. Vacays are over, man. Vacays are all over. It's time for business now, man. Saints are in camp. LSU open up camp today.
Yes, indeed. And we got a game tonight in Canton, Ohio. And this how about this line movement?
Yes, how about it?
About 4.5 points. I mean, the Jets, the public backing the Jets is even starting before Aaron Rodgers stresses out. So, I mean,
or do you think maybe they just maybe they're not buying Kellen Mond?
This is a big Kellen Mond and DTR. I mean, Kellen Mond's going to do well in this game tonight. I got a feeling. So, I'm thinking the Browns. You know, how can you bet it? Well, how can you watch it if you don't have a bet on it? So there's two different perspectives on how you can deal with it. So I do have. I'm sorry, but I got to go with the Astros tonight against your Yankees.
No, I don't blame you at all.
Yeah,
I would go against my Yankees too. They're awful. I don't even want to watch them.
Yeah, so we're going to go with the Astros tonight, both on the money line and -1.5. -1.5, I think you get +150 at DraftKings. So that's in a very limited card tonight. Got Milwaukee is go back to that. Milwaukee is worth a consideration, but that line is stinky. I don't understand. Why the Pittsburgh Pirates are only like +114 on the road. Keller's okay, but still. Sonny Gray, I'm not going to do it. But we're going to go with another one, though.
Okay.
You think the Reds bullpen's a little worn down? They had a guy throwing knuckleballs last night in the ninth inning with the Cubs. Cubs scored 20 and 14 runs. Last time a team scored 20 and 14, that many runs, 34 in back-to-back games. 1,900, Matthew. Charlie was just a toddler back then. But anyway, we're going with the Cubbies to close out the
1 minute remaining.
That one against the Reds. So Cubs tonight, Astros double barrel there, and we're going to take the Browns. Also.
Wait, are we taking the Browns on the money line or +2?
+2.
Okay. All right.
+2.
All right.
What kind of money line are you looking at?
+114.
No, just take the +2 points.
Okay.
Goofy game. Comes down to they don't want to tie. They'll go for 2 at the end if they have to, so to avoid overtime. So remember, this was the game last year where Josh McDaniels running Josh Jacobs in the fourth quarter of the Hall of Fame game. Can't understand. Come on. Let's go, man. Brownie. Hey, the Jets. Just start early.
All right, Otter. Where are you tomorrow?
We're at Rufino.
Oh, it's Friday. Tomorrow's Friday. That's right. I forgot. You just back. It's Friday. I'm fine. All right. Get out of here. We'll see you. Have a great night. All right, Muse, Paulie, thanks. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
Brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service. ShawbillsTire.com. You know where to find them with 17 locations across South Louisiana. You can find the location nearest you at ShawbillsTire.com. Remember, name brand tires at wholesale prices. The best tires on the road. Michelin, BF Goodrich, Bridgestone, Firestone. If you find a tire cheaper somewhere else, they'll beat it, and then some. You always get the Charlie's dozen with every tire you buy at Shawbills. A dozen benefits extended to you and every vehicle in your family when you buy your tires at Shawbills. And, of course, Shawbills wants you to be part of their family, not just as a customer, but also as an employee. Shawbills is hiring. You can go to the website at ShawbillsTire.com. You can hit the Careers tab at the website, and you'll see all of the positions that are open at all of their different locations right now. ShawbillsTire.com, ShawbillsTire.com. Hit the Careers tab, and you'll see everything that's available. Great career opportunities at Shawbills. ShawbillsTire.com. Remember, Shawbills, where we keep you rolling.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When is is a taco more than just a taco when it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he